Hello, and welcome to Scuttlebutt, the War Movie Review Podcast. We're happy to have you with us as we take a look at films from the dawn of cinema to today. We aim to provide a raw and unapologetic review of each film's cinematography, historical accuracy, and delivery. In the process of analysis, certain details will be revealed. These spoilers are only divulged to ensure a fair assessment of each film. We head below the Mason-Dixon line this week with Edward Zwick's 1989 Civil War epic, Glory. As always, I'm joined by Mike A, Mike B,
Yes, sir.
Nate,
Civil War, which is what you sounded like, but it's okay.
and our this week's guest, and Scuttlebutt's Mustache Winner of the Year Award, Civil War expert and kind of big deal, reenactor and historian Les.
Give him the bayonet.
Thanks for being here, buddy. So, guys, what do you think?
Oh, don't ever. What I think is don't ever try to do the Southern accent again. Don't ever try to do that again. It was so
I think it
bad
went right
there,
through,
buddy.
but it burns.
Oh shit! Shots
There you
fired.
go.
Shots fucking.
Oh my god, dude.
You know how many,
Shots
you know how many times I had
fired.
to hear that line? I think it went right through,
I-
but it burns.
You said it the
Okay.
exact same way that he
I'm
says
sorry,
it too.
Brian. I
I
love
know.
you. I know you're tired.
Well, shots fired. Now Brian's gonna be in a great fucking mood for the rest of this.
Ooh-wee. Used to have a role in the movie.
Oh, there you go.
Excuse me.
But-
I was Kevin's cough and sneeze, and I was the snoring of Roe. Okay, I was in the movie. All right.
That's a big part. That's
Yeah, big part.
Get that Foley
Yeah,
shit
yeah.
down. Yeah. Had to just get in there,
don't
didn't
ever
you?
don't ever get in
Anyway.
a foxhole with this dude. He's like wah, like all night, all
Yeah.
night.
So I've heard he's like chainsawing logs.
That or a Honda
He
lawnmower.
sleeps. Yeah, not good.
A Honda lawnmower. Oh.
Yeah, that's really not good.
Look, it's
Yeah.
not.
Nathan has a
it's not-
reputation for snoring very
It's
loudly.
not our fault we didn't pass the hot chocolate down, all right? Soldiers
Apparently
on the
it
front line
was.
apparently had hot chocolate.
Yeah, 10 years later.
Apparently 12,
Yeah,
12,
that would've
12
helped.
years later, apparently that is still a sin. So,
That's our
But-
discussion on glory.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Oh yeah. Shit. So we're talking about Glory. Yeah.
Les is a good friend of ours, and he's been a really big fan of the Civil War for a long time, a real expert and stuff. And he's originally from Virginia, and you live on a Civil War battlefield, right?
Yes, I live like it's dark now, but if you look over my shoulder, you could probably see Lee's last headquarters. That's how close I am. Hence the flag in the other corner over here. That was his headquarters flag at one time. But I've been around in Central Virginia my whole life, and it's kind of one of those things you can't really escape. Like you're in and around it. I can go 30 minutes in almost any direction, and there's a Civil War Trail sign. So it's been kind of a passion. You just kind of pick up on it. And most people around here, to a certain degree, mine has become more of an addiction or an obsession. Most people's like, I got a book, I read it every now and then. But for like us, it becomes more. I've got to be in it, around it, and talk about it all the time. And ever since I was a young child, that's how it's been. Like I remember when I was a kid, I think it was TNT. In the springtime, they would do Civil War Sundays. So from sun up to sundown, they would do Andersonville, Glory, Gettysburg. I mean, from sun up to sundown, that's all it was just all those films. So I mean, Sunday morning, all day, just sitting there
Hell yeah.
watching those.
In that case, I'm guessing you have seen this movie probably way the hell before, like in the past, and probably
yeah.
several times.
Oh yeah.
So, as our guest, then, what are your initial thoughts on it?
So as a kid, I think like most kids, like when you get to wanting to learn something or you want to watch something as far as war film, you want to see the, pew, 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 shoot 'em up, bang, 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 which this film does not have a lot of it. But as you mature and understand the culture and the background of it, you appreciate it more. Like I said, when I was a kid, Gettysburg, that was the film. Like, just 3/4 of that film is just burning powder, as we call it. But as maturity is hit, going through the military, being law enforcement, everything, I've come to appreciate Glory more because it it has something for everyone. Like I told a friend the other day, it's got politics, self motivation, self strife. Uh, it touches on PTSD. It shows training. It has combat. The only thing it lacks, thank God, is a shitty love story,
That's true.
Yes,
That's
agreed.
true.
which they could have
Agreed.
put in.
Yep.
Thank God they opted not to do that because Colonel Shaw, several weeks or months prior to being shipped down to Georgia, did marry, and thank God they left all that out. Like it would have deterred from the film, in my opinion.
No, for sure it would have. It was nice not to see that.
Exactly.
And just to butt in, it's an interesting movie, it's interesting growing up in New England. There's not a lot of Civil War battlefields, but there's a monument in every single town to all the
Exactly.
guys that were drafted and lost, and so it's kind of the yin and yang effect, the other end of that. And I'll never forget when I started to do a lot of reenactments down south that I actually met Les at one, and it made him almost die at one point. That was another story. But it's interesting because you drive down 81 in the States, down like the Shenandoah Valley and everything, and you just drive up and down. If you go south, you drive down the later campaigns of the Civil War, and if you drive north, you go up the early campaigns of the Civil War. So it's very interesting. You drive all these different places, like New Market and stuff. I always remember seeing that one and things, and it's very interesting. The more you travel in the States, the more you just pass Civil War battlefields and things, and you really can't escape it, like you were saying. It's
Yeah,
a
like I
whole
said,
quarter of the country, just it was a battlefield.
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah,
So, and I do have some lineage to this.
and I think like you said, Winchester, I think changed hands 16 times in one day. That's
Crazy.
just how much the like you're saying back and forth. Winchester, Virginia, changed hands. I think the most it was in 16 times in one day.
People are like, remember Pavlov's house? How bad that was? I was like, oh, well, imagine that, but you have one shot and each round shatters bone. Have
Yeah.
fun. Oh, and there's a
Exactly.
bayonet you get stabbed with it. The wound doesn't heal. So good luck.
Yep.
Have fun with that one. Like the one scene where the guy's, he ends up in the hospital towards the beginning of the film, and the guy in the background's yelling as he's being like, oh, I'm sorry, Captain, as he's putting the thing on his neck. The guy's like, stop cutting. Oh my God. You hear the screams.
Yeah.
So I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
"Ugh." Way he goes.
That was medical in its infancy for the most part.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's better than the Battle of Hastings, but it's still not
Yeah.
not today. So it was interesting. Medical technology stayed the same for a good 800 years, and then after the Civil War and everything, and really the Crimean War, it was a big change when they had like the Red Cross and things. But yeah, Civil War. You always hear about the wicker barrels full of what do you call it, amputated limbs and everything.
Yeah.
Stuff, and not fun. What'd you think about it, Mr. Nate? Then the other Southerner.
Well, less will contend. We'll argue with that. Apparently,
We
Maryland's
can open
not
that
a part
to.
of the South.
We can have a poll after the podcast comes out. Is Maryland part of the South? Maryland and Delaware, because
You're
Delaware
good-
technically is more east.
It's gonna
We're
be.
we're
Go
heading
ahead.
north. We need Marylanders' help. Nah.
Is Maryland just the north?
Coming back from
testicle
Gettysburg.
ball
Oh, you
site?
guys are back? Yeah.
Yeah, no. I had never seen. I'd always seen bits and pieces on this, almost. I think the same event Les had mentioned. Civil War Sundays. I would always see it, but I never would get For me, I always would have to watch a movie from its entirety, and back in the old archaic days, if you didn't catch the movie in the beginning, you'd have to see when it would come back on. And that could be next Sunday or next hour or next day or next month or whatever. So
What's the TV guide say?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
A little
God.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little book that come in the mail.
It's next to
and-
the phone book.
Yeah.
with the Sunday paper. That's
Yep.
what.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was my childhood, and so if I was even allowed to have access to the one TV in the house, because my father, it was sports or news, and that was it. And you had to go on his time, so I had to watch TV when he wasn't using it. That was the rule. So I would always I would always catch bits and pieces of this, but I never went back and kind of followed up and watched it later in my life. And this is the first time I've watched it from start to finish. And it was very interesting. I was not expecting a lot of the character development. I thought it would be more, battles, because that's all I saw of the movie originally was all the battles and the fort charging and the whole thing at the end. And so it's just like, it was very, very interesting to kind of build that, to actually watch a movie and build up those characters and those people that I've seen constantly throughout the years, but never got any context to. So it was very, very, it was really pleasant to watch in the sense of a brand new movie that's been out for years and years. And so it was really, really good. I liked it a lot. And, but I don't know enough Civil War history to dive into it. I refer to the Patriot of the same thing, where it's like I don't know enough of the actual history, so I enjoy the movie. Whereas if I watch Company of Heroes, I turn inside out and want to vomit. So it's like, that's the kind of thing.
As does Trey.
Yeah, as does. Yeah. So like, it was a really nice, refreshing movie to watch versus Field of Honor, which I wanted to sit on a rusty pole. So. As Brian will counter me with French art house movies, but but no, I liked it a lot. But I'm interested to dive into it because I can do the surface level research, which I did, but it'll be very interesting to kind of go into it more of a deep dive into it. So, Mike B, what about you?
Yeah. I saw this once before just on my own volition because everybody was like, "Yeah, it's a great film." Okay, and I put it off for so long because of that, because I'm an asshole like that. But when I watched it before, I was like, "Okay, pretty decent." And then I watched it actually paid attention more so, I guess, this time. And yeah, I don't know anything about the fucking uniforms. I don't know anything about the weaponry. I can tell you what they use, but I just can't identify it on screen. So that is not what I was looking for. I was looking for just cinematography, lines, interaction between the characters, the acting itself, and all that stuff, and just the progression and the flow of it. And I found it to be actually pretty well done as far as that's concerned. I know, again, brief surface level history of this particular battle, because when I first saw it, I was like, did they actually do that? And it was more egregious from what I researched than what they actually showed in the film, like the actual final battle. And I was like, oh, fuck, But as far as just the whole thing, it flowed. It was a 2.5 hour film. That's a lot to ask from someone, to watch a 2.5 hour film and still be engaged, but I was engaged the whole time. And that's pretty cool in my book. So yeah, opening thoughts, decent in my opinion, but I'm also very uneducated on this particular subject. So, Mike.
Yeah. Well, I'm in the same boat as you guys in terms of knowing the surface level about this stuff. I agree. There's a lot of interesting things in this movie. I think it's well done, and there's a lot of really cool things about it, really interesting, like we said. But for some reason, I just don't love this movie. I don't know what it is, and I've tried to before. I've seen this movie with people. I've watched it by myself. I've watched it, and trying to really grab something, and I just, for some reason, don't just really connect with it like everyone else that has told me. And I think part of that has to do, I think Matthew Broderick is just miscast in this movie. I don't really like him.
Bueller.
And
Bueller.
yeah, exactly. And I get that he was really popular at the time, but it's funny because you have his performance and then you have these amazing performances like Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman.
It's like putting Tom Cruise in the same role. It's like
right, yeah. Well,
he'll do it, but it's just not
right.
Yeah,
well, this was made by the same guy who did The Last Samurai. It was written and directed by the same guy who wrote and directed The Last Samurai, and that connection is really strong. But I think that it's just I don't buy him in the role. It just feels awkward to me. And other than that, I think it has a lot of really good, like a lot of really, really good individual scenes. But yeah, really, interesting movie, but I just can't like say that, oh, it's so good, like how a lot of other people
Right.
do.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think that, like I said, that so apparently Zwick wanted him. He was the first pick, and he accepted it after trying to convince him a few times. I agree. I think it was just like you said. He was popular at the time,
Right.
But I think if they would have found somebody a little bit, because like I said, he's
They needed-
Bueller. You don't
Yeah,
see.
they needed someone like a younger man, a younger actor of the time who was not Ethan Hawke. What's his name? Falcon and the Snowman. I'll think of his name later. But like an actor who has like can really have like a dramatic edge to him.
Yeah.
And for this, yeah, like I mean, I don't really like Matthew Broderick in anything other than War Games. He, in my opinion, he's my least favorite thing about the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off. But so that's mainly it. And there's some just weird in terms of like his performance. Some other moments, there's some weird direction kind of going on. There's a part where Carrie, how do you say his name? Carrie Elwes or Elways or whatever.
No, it's Ewells.
Elvis,
Carrie
yeah,
Ewells.
whatever. When Carrie comes out and he's like, oh, you're gonna take on this job, and he says something like, can you imagine colored soldiers with rifles or something like that? I'm quoting the movie here, and the way he says it, it feels like that was written to be more jovial. Like, hey, can you imagine that? Isn't this crazy? But instead, he says it like he's looking off into the distance. I'm like, that just didn't read well, Like,
It is very
and I
bland.
get Carrie as like a Shakespearean actor, and that's the background he comes from. But that also kind of stuff like that just felt weird to me. So.
Well, Michael, life moves pretty fast. Sometimes you gotta stop and enjoy everything every now and then.
And then Yellow starts playing.
Yeah. It sounds like you just hate Matthew Broderick. No.
Yeah.
It's I do agree. It is a strange cast thing.
Are you talking
He does seem
about?
off.
Are you talking about Timothy Halton or Sean Penn? Which one are you talking about for Falcon and the Snowman?
No. Timothy, the Timothy guy.
Timothy Hutton.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Okay.
If they had him, because like he can be really intense, but like also really personable, and he was like a young man in the '80s, like a young actor. So like, I get it. Like when you look at the actual guy that Matthew Broderick was playing, he looks a lot like him. So I get it. And but
there's times when Matthew Broderick actually shined in the role, but there's a lot of times where I think it's more of you need an imposing, intimidating, and leadership, very strong. Like there's sometimes he does strong leadership, but then most of the time all I see is Inspector Gadget.
he was Inspector Gadget.
Yeah.
That's right.
Like,
Yeah. Just because it's of the same time, like you ever see was it Wall Street or something? Came out in the late '80s.
With
Charlie Sheen. I feel like
Charlie
Charlie
Sheen,
Sheen
yeah.
is so like maybe Matthew Broderick would have been much better in that role, and Sheen would have been much better in this role.
He's got tiger blood.
Yeah, but no, you say that like the scene that kind of feels cringe to me is the scene where he comes in and like intimidates the guy on the uniforms.
Oh yeah,
and the guy's like, "Oh, calm down."
I actually didn't mind that. It was when he's like, "Well, if you guys won't get paid, I won't get paid." Like it was like it felt much like, well, yeah.
He was in Godzilla too.
Like he was in Godzilla. That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. That's a lot of fish.
the cable guy.
So really quick, just the history nerd in me. Les, did Shaw actually do that?
Do what?
Rip
tear
up
up
the
his
pay
pay
thing.
slip.
He was actually the one who convinced them not to take the pay.
Oh.
Not
Interesting.
Chip. It was actually him.
Okay.
So like I said, I'm not the biggest historian on USCTs with United States Colored Troops, but from what I've read, he was the one who told them don't accept this pay. They are shorthanding you, which is very ironic because his mother and father were the ones who were big into freeing the slaves and the rebellion or anti-rebellion. He was very pampered. He did most of his schooling overseas. So when he got back, he enlisted and according to his own letters, it shows a progression of respect towards the colored man. At the beginning, it was, boy, the hard R, N word, all this stuff. But as progression goes on, like before James Island and Fort Wagner, it was these men, these troops, my men. He grew a fondness for him, and he actually wrote letters home to his mom, stating that these men have grown on me. They've shown me compassion and respect. A little anecdote though: the letters in the movie are not his to his mom. They were taken from a book of another USCT regiment. Um, I don't know why they did that. I guess because it wouldn't fit in with the movie perfectly. But those are real letters when he is monologuing in third person as he's walking through camp and whatnot, doing the training. That's actual audio or actual words from someone else, but they put it fits him kind of.
Little artistic license there.
Yes.
Well, and just to build off that, what's interesting is so I'm working on this TV show and everything called War Stories, and one episode is about Henry Johnson, known as Black Death, and he was a colored soldier, and the Harlem Hellfighters were basically given to the French. But they had, white officers and everything, so much similar to this, but, in a more modern war, or at least, in the 20th century. And, Colonel Hayward, who was the commander of the unit, had an incredible bond with his men as well. During the war, during the training and everything, and even after the fact, because they were from Harlem and stuff, and he was from New York. He was I think he was in the Senate, New York Senate, or it might even be like the National Senate, or the federal Senate, whatever. But long story short, like even after the war, that he'd have men that he fought with come into like his shop. He's a lawyer, or his building, and be like, "Oh, I need help," and everything, and help him out and everything, and they were friends for life. And so it's interesting, 60 years later or 50 years later, very similar experience, between these men, and it just goes to show that combat is that bond. If you're in the same place and you chew the same dirt, then fucking it doesn't matter. You always be there for each other.
And that's another interesting thing as well. The 54th, I understand why they did it for the film. They wanted to show like diversity. This man's from South Carolina, this man's from wherever. They did a lot. You got to remember, this is a film that it's a product of its time. So 30 plus years ago, 35 years ago, roughly. So there wasn't, to my understanding, there wasn't a lot of information prior to that on any of this subject. It just kind of started coming to light. This movie was produced because Zwick was touring Massachusetts and came across the 54th Massachusetts Monument. And he's like, I want to learn more about this. And when he found out the story, he's like, this needs to be told. So that just because a man was walking through Massachusetts and found a monument, this movie was born. But anyway, digressing, the 54th was made up of all free black men. I don't believe there was many, I think there was a few previous and enslaved men, but they were all free men. They came from all over because Massachusetts did not have the population of black men to serve in the USCTs. So they sent out recruiters all the way as far as Missouri, even Canada, to recruit these men.
Really?
One private was actually a doctor. So it just goes to show, I get in the movie, a slave rising up, enlisting and going back and showing his previous master that I'm a free man, I'm in uniform, I'm just as good as you. But to me, it would be more, or not more, but it would be just as cool to see this man who was a doctor several days prior giving up his license and business to go fight for somebody else hundreds of miles away. He's risking everything for, I wouldn't say next to nothing, but he's fighting for a higher cause. He's obviously taking a pay cut. He might lose his business, and it's not really going to affect him. Like, win or lose, the North is still going to be the North. He's going to be free. But his devotion to a higher cause made him sign up to fight for this.
You might have mentioned it. What state was he from, or province?
That I don't know which state the doctor was from.
Okay, yeah, interesting. That's it says a lot, like how powerful the belief was that you're fighting for a certain cause. Yeah,
Yeah, like I said,
that's really really
yeah.
interesting.
So, and plus they didn't want. I think they touch on that enough in the movie as well, where the North was just as well, obviously not just as racist as the South, but it was to the point that they didn't trust men in uniform of color. So the governor of Massachusetts was like, I want the cream of the crop. I don't want somebody straight out of the fields because they're not educated. all of these men can read and write. Like I said, one of them was a doctor. So they wanted people that, because it was a publicity stunt, for a lack of better terms. Not, hey, look what we're doing. It's more of, if this fails, this will look horribly on the 13th Amendment cause. The emancipation will just founder. So they wanted the cream of the crop to be in uniform, and that's what like I said, they sent out hundreds of recruiters everywhere, Canada, New York, Connecticut, Missouri, and they recruited these men. And I think some of them were brought back under darkness, so they weren't like bushwhacked or anything like that, or frowned upon.
Wow.
Yeah, because that kind of changes like the narrative of what the movie says,
Yeah,
versus what actually happened. And yeah, it's interesting is because I mean there were a lot of free black people in the North at that point, but yeah, so like you say, I don't think it's like an egregious thing to say it was a publicity stunt, because it was, obviously, because if you actually wanted bodies and you wanted people to do that, you would have just recruited anybody. But like you said, they wanted the best of the best to show everybody this is what we're doing.
They didn't want it to fail, because
exactly, and it's kind of it's not surprising to me or any other historian that's looked into this shit, but for like the listeners, it's fucked up, and like that's what a lot of things that you look at in history that you go, oh my god, these guys are so brave. You got to dig into it a lot deeper and realize that there's ulterior motives a lot of times by the people in charge. And this is an example of that. It's like, oh, do we want these colored troops, as we call them, to actually fight for us and represent the Union? Well, if they're really good, maybe. And that could, but you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things. It's like, that's very interesting. And they touched on it a little bit in the film, I think, but not nearly to this level that you're saying. And with research and everything, like actual documentation.
On the vice versa side, if you ever look into the Battle of the Crater, which was in Petersburg, Virginia, the USCTs were trained for that mission. They were given ladders, pioneer equipment. This is what you're supposed to do: go around the crater we just blew up, and then exploit the lines, go and push to Richmond. I can't remember whose decision it was. It wasn't Grant's. I think it might have been McClellan's or somebody's. They assumed, well, if this fails, this will be a huge detriment to the USCTs. So they pulled them back to like the second or third advance line, and then they replaced them with white troops who were like, the fuck we doing here? So then they got...
Dude, you're not trained for it. Yeah, like what are you doing?
The whole war, you're basically in column, in the battle line, forward march. And that's what they did. And the movie Cold Harbor does a fairly decent, not Cold Harbor, I'm sorry, Cold Mountain, does a fairly decent representation of what that battle was like, according to reports. You know, black powder burns very slow, so it poofs up all the dirt in the air. It's just a smoke screen, and them poor guys just went straight into the hole. And then the USCTs came in right up behind them. And in the movie, it shows it was a turkey shoot. According to reports, there was blood in the crater knee deep at the end of the battle.
Oof.
I mean, but I kind of believe if they would have been put in first, they knew what they were doing, and the commander was present and not intoxicated in his tent, it probably would have been a lot better than what had happened.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying is like when you look into the history of things is like there's a lot more factors
Oh,
playing
yeah.
into any situation than like the crater. Yeah, the basic knowledge is the crater was an absolute massacre. I'll be done in a second. It was an absolute massacre. It was. It was just a colossal goat fuck to the nth degree. So many people died. But then, as a historian, you have to go, well, why did that happen? And then what you just said is like, oh well, these guys were trained to do this. They were preparing for this, and then at the last second, it fucking changed, and their commander was drunk in the tent.
Always happens.
And yeah, it's like, okay, well, that's how these catastrophes happen a lot of times. So yeah, but yeah, Nate. Sorry.
Well, no, I was just I would Les had said that the guy's drunk in the tent, the commander's drunk in the tent. I thought it was a joke, but then as you dived into
No.
it again, that's 100% true.
He was found in his tent, 3 sheets to the wind. They're like, "What are you doing?" He's like, So
Oh God.
there goes your command.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, it's and that happened. That it still happens today, like on a lesser degree. But like I mean, you get that shit that it's just it makes warfare so much worse than what it has to be.
When
Really,
you
like
have someone,
warfare is bad.
when you have someone
When
incompetent.
well, no, when all these circumstances, just like these idiots in charge make stupid decisions. Like, okay, take these guys out that have been training for this, and then okay, I'm just gonna get shit faced in my tent and on the morning of the battle, and okay, whatever. It's like,
Whoops.
Jesus.
Apparently,
man.
that's frowned
Like,
upon.
Maybe where you come from, but
No, it's no. I'm glad you brought that up because
don't
yeah,
you know how
it's,
Roman
it's
generals used to
relevant a lot
fight?
of
You know,
situations.
like,
So, really quick. So we're talking about the what the hell were we talking about with the movie? The troops getting. How about the training? I was going to
Okay,
ask you about
so
that.
that's a very
yeah.
interesting subject on that. To go back to a simpler suggestion for it, if you look, somebody brought up. It's a very, very, very minute detail, but looking back, I believe it was just because of when they filmed. They started filming, I think, in December, and then it took like 70 days to film. But the 54th wasn't, I think, brought into service until like March. No. Yeah, I think it was March, and they were shipped out in June. So the watermelons, there'd be no way to get watermelons to Massachusetts in that time of year. Little small details like that.
Right.
But I think it was just because they had this script set up for, all right, March to June will be in this, in Massachusetts training, but they're filming. And I think that was the other thing too. The filming, I think I looked it up. The filming for the training was actually in the Georgia State Locomotive or Railroad Museum, and they did a great job. It looks amazing. But I don't think they really expected that much snow in Georgia. So they had to be like, oh, well, it's Christmas time. But the 54th wasn't enrolled or wasn't formed until I think March, if I remember correctly. But everything, I mean, the only other movie that I can recall off the top of my head that does this much training footage would be Gods and Generals. The bayonet training, the loading 9 times, and they show that in the movie in both of them, loading 9 times. They even like I said, the little minute details I love. Taking the musket and pointing it away from you. And what I don't mean like you don't want the barrel away from you. The ramrod is closest to you. There's a reason for that. So when you load and you grab the ramrod, you're not reaching over the barrel to pull the ramrod out and blowing your fingers off. There's a rule. It's a procedure called load in 9 times, and it's drilled in your head over and over again. So it's just like basic training that we went to. You're breaking it down Barney style. So in the heat of combat and the stress and fatigue, you can load that thing and fire without even thinking about it.
Muscle memory. Yep,
Exactly.
Muscle memory. Yep.
Muscle memory. And it shows, him, cocking his revolver, firing it and everything, and him trying to get them prepared for combat. And I understand that because, Colonel Shaw was not, well, he was a lieutenant at the time, but he was not wounded at Antietam. They did a lot of creative liberties with the film. But yeah, he was not wounded, and he wasn't a colonel until the 54th got up to strength. I think he like kind of leapfrogged, went from major, and then when he got his whole regiment, he became full blown colonel, or colonel. But actually, the training was phenomenal. The little 2 or 3 nitbits I didn't like was Colonel McKay or Sergeant McKay, Sergeant Major. He was a little over the top for me, in my opinion. But you got to remember, this isn't. Let me pull out my stress card. 2012 Army. I never saw any of those anyway. But anyway, physically assaulting a troop, that, especially in front of an officer, that I was like,
okay, I agree with you there, because that would have been, in my opinion, even back then, especially back then, rather, would have been you come here. Hey, we're going to go behind closed doors. That's a fucking, you don't have your rank anymore. You're done. Don't do that.
yeah.
Like,
What are you talking about, boyo?
Yeah.
right.
Now I did like the actor, the character for the most part.
But he seemed like a modern drill sergeant. And it's like,
yeah,
it's like,
he played the part.
he
Well.
played it, but like, okay, so from what you've researched, how would a company sergeant, or I don't know how the fucking ranks worked actually at that point, to be honest with you.
They were a little bit simpler. You didn't have as many. You'd have like first sergeant.
Well, right, because I know World War
sergeant.
I ranks, but I don't like it. They also changed 50 fucking times
Yeah.
from the Civil War to World War I, and then they
Yeah.
changed more to World War II. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's why. Okay, so somebody in his the NCO status, right?
Mhm.
That'd be training troops. How would they have acted from what you've researched?
About the same. I mean, just not as brutal or hostile towards each other.
Just a lot of yelling, and then the like mind fuck
Yes.
games like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So Gods and Generals, that movie,
Yeah.
the non-deleted version, shows a good amount of that. So you got to remember, this isn't like modern day or even World War II. This is a bunch of civilians who are handed these 3 little books back here and like, okay, go learn. So you're out in the field and you have to learn all of this. Pretty much anybody, if anybody's, if I'm wrong, correct me, but I believe prior to the Civil War, the United States Army, East Coast to West Coast, was 30,000 troops.
It doesn't surprise me. But
So
I'm not going to fact
most
check you,
most of those men
Yeah.
were dispersed. You train this company, you train this company. And like I said, in Gods and Generals,
Really quick, would they have just one NCO doing that per company?
probably one
At
NCO
that
and
point?
probably one officer. And most officers
Okay.
were voted, because you got to remember, this isn't like modern day where you go to recruit and get shipped off somewhere. You're with your hometown, so that's why where I'm from, Buckingham, it was I think it was the 21st Virginia Buckingham Leeches. They were called Buckingham Leeches because the captain was Captain Leach. That was his last name. So you're voted into all. So basically, if you're the fan favorite of the area, town, county, or whatever, you become voted in as lieutenant or captain. And it is your duty to lead your men. Because, I mean, think about it. We're not going to elect Nate to be the company commander.
No, because Nate, he's a
So
I'm voting him out of the town, off the island, out of Maryland.
He's the drummer boy in the back. You want somebody like you want
He could be
basically
the
like
water boy.
Yeah, there you go.
But so Les, you're saying like officers at that point were elected by local municipalities and shit like that? Like,
yeah, because that's who's going. The whole county basically is going to war. So you want basically you don't want the town drunkard being the officer.
Yeah. So it's kind of like it's basically electing a sheriff in a time of war.
Yes, exactly. So you basically,
Holy fuck, I didn't know that.
You basically want. I mean, what better way to do that? You think?
Suppose.
I mean, you think about somebody in your area. We're all going to war.
Yeah.
Who do you want leading your company of 100 men? So you all put
You
it
don't
to
know
a
because most
you all
of these guys could be stand-up dudes, but they've never been to war. But like,
well, that's the thing.
It's just kind of
Yeah.
a baffling idea to me.
Exactly.
But like, I didn't know
It
it,
is.
but it's like, it's like okay, that
It
makes
is.
a lot of sense because
It's better than British system was like, well,
Okay.
I come from royalty and I've got the
the
money.
fucking which
Yeah.
fell apart in the First World War when everybody
Yeah,
was like,
exactly.
you guys fucking suck worse than us working class plebes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you basically like, well,
Wow.
he's the town lawyer. He's educated. He can lead us.
We'll
like,
vote him to. Oh my god.
yeah.
That's,
So
that's
it's
really
not like
interesting.
vote for Smitty, and then Nate's over there like, I'll
No,
put in my hat.
just-
It's basically you sign him in. You go.
So was Shaw elected, or did he just? You said he enlisted.
He
but like,
enlisted, and with his family wealth, I guess you could say, he was given a lieutenancy. But then, with his family being so well versed in the emancipation and everything, like they were
yeah,
big wigs in it. Like I said, he was against it
Yeah.
at the beginning, which is it's ironic. I can't remember his name now, but he turned it down several times. But his friend, who was in command of I think the 1st Massachusetts Cavalry, convinced him to take it. So eventually he did. It wasn't like in the movie which I understand why they did it in the movie. It's time. But it took him I think several days to be like, hey, what do you think? And his friend he was the captain I think of the 1st Massachusetts Cavalry was like, you should take it. Like you're going to get to be a colonel. You're going to lead a regiment, and you're going to do well, et cetera, et cetera. So he did eventually accept it. And a little, like I said, the small details. If you look in through, I think one of the camp scenes, there's a wagon that comes through camp with cross sabers and a 1 over it. 1st Massachusetts Cavalry, which would make sense because they were attached to the 54th.
yeah.
So little
yeah,
small
yeah.
details you only see it for like 2 seconds. The little wagon comes through
Yeah,
camp.
I know about details like seeing.
Yeah, it's just so wild.
Having shit and yeah. Really cool.
Yeah. So like I said, that's he got it because they were like, we need somebody. He's a combat veteran. Officers are not that great in supply because if you didn't know, most of the West Pointers or men who went to West Point sided with the South, except the Navy. A lot of the Navy guys stayed northern.
Why is that? I didn't know that.
That I don't know too much about because I'm not Navy like you. I'm not. You know.
Not a Baytown. Yeah, I get
No,
it. Yeah.
no. I'm a landlubber.
Look, they take all the girls in the bars. Okay, they're not that cool. all right?
The only Navy I care for is the Brown Navy. It's a real thing, Nate. Stop being immature. Gosh. It's basically we've got more boats than men. Let's recruit some infantrymen. All right, go patrol the Mississippi Delta.
The Brown Navy.
Use cotton square bales for armor. Yes, it worked. It worked.
It worked.
At the time, yeah. At the
Yeah,
time,
it's soft armor. The shell goes in, sticks, and you're like,
you start throwing some Mauser through them, and you got a problem. But like, yeah.
But
Past that time.
yeah, actually, the training was real good. It was real good. The bayonet
So
training.
what I'm sorry. I guess I was asking like, so the techniques, obviously they're marching, and they didn't have uniforms. I understand that. The supply
So that was a
lines were
misconception too.
fucked.
That was a misconception as well too.
All right, let's talk about that then.
When they enlisted, they got uniforms. Now I understand
Really?
kind of why they did it for the film, like, oh, they're lesser people. Now I don't know if that was because, like I said, we always have to remember this is a product of its time. 35 years
Correct.
ago, when there was not a lot of information, and I'll throw this out there real quick too, if I can find it. So we all know that this movie needed a lot of extras.
Yep.
They gave a big credit to them in the ending credits.
So
All
obviously,
of the reenactors.
A lot of big name actors now that
Yes.
are in this.
Yep.
Even B-rated actors like who's that guy who had the facial scar who died like a year ago? He was in that.
Oh, yeah.
He had a very minor role. He was in
I
that.
think
The guy
he's
from
in
The Wire,
Gettysburg too.
the guy from The Wire and Boardwalk Empire, and like he's had a ton of roles ever since then.
He was in Gladiator, wasn't he?
No, you're thinking of the guy from Blood Diamond.
Oh,
Are you doing the blackout with the scar that played Chalky White?
Yeah, in Boardwalk
Yeah.
Empire.
He
Oh,
died?
yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
died.
he died.
Yeah, he
Overdose.
died last year. Yeah, overdose.
What the fuck?
OD.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah. It was in an OD
Yeah,
or a heart
he was
condition.
in there. He was in this film.
Yeah, for
I
like 5 seconds or 5.
didn't even
like,
recognize
I didn't
him,
see him. Scene. Yeah, he's in the very back. I could recognize because he's got the scar. And
Damn.
Then there's obviously Denzel Washington, the guy with the glasses, the educated guy. He's in that
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's the captain. Yeah,
he's Brooklyn
This was
Nine-Nine.
this was his first film, and this was Denzel Washington's first film winning an Oscar for best supporting actor.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
Andre Brower is that guy.
Okay.
Andre Brower. Yeah. Okay.
So
Fuck,
here
he's
I got
dead?
the numbers.
Yeah, he died last year.
Fucking stupid.
Prior to Glory, there was roughly 50,000
You're
Civil
welcome.
War reenactors.
50,000.
50,000
Yeah.
American Civil War reenactors for the world of the
Yep.
U.S.
And then now, yeah.
How many do you think were black?
Civil War reenactors?
200.
5.
No, like 10.
15.
I was
Yeah.
close.
Oh, I was
15,
closer.
wow.
I was
You guys are
closer.
close.
Yep.
Yeah.
The year after this
Just
film
knowing-
came out, it jumped to 100, which doesn't seem like a lot numerically, but in the
That's a lot.
reenacting
But that's
in the
a lot.
reenacting community,
That's
that's
a lot.
huge.
Yeah.
Just one
It
year
is
after,
very huge, yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Welcome to Murray, okay. So it says here that before 2001, how many reenactors were there for Easy Company 506, 101st? The number says 27. After the
All
debut
of
of
them.
the show on
50,000.
History Channel,
7
Every
million.
every
the
one of them.
ruffling of the paper, the survey says 2 million. So
And all of them couldn't fit out of a real C-47. So
All of
no,
them.
1.75 million can't, Nathan.
Dude,
That's not-
though a lot of the 506 Easy Company reenactors make me look like I just walked out of Auschwitz. Like they make me look like a fucking fine specimen compared to them. And I'm like, I'm a fat dude, but I'm like, oh my god, like what?
Yeah.
Reenact a cook or something. Like I don't know, something that's like not a fucking frontline airborne infantryman.
And they're 25 years too old.
That's
That's the other,
Peak-
yeah.
yeah.
peak airborne
least.
performance. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's very
Plunge,
interesting.
they'll plunge to
It's
Earth
like-
a lot faster than the normal.
Yeah, what's
man.
our weight limit on the plane? Oh, you got 2 fucking paratroopers on here, and that's it. Oh, okay, let's just take off our C-47.
You don't
and
need a
fucking-
parachute.
Oh,
just-
oh wait, Mike, I'm sorry. They put armor plates in the bottom of the C-47. We can only take one of them now, not 2.
Oops. Whoops.
Um,
That's not good.
That's very interesting though, Les, and it just goes to show how a movie can really, infect the culture and stuff. Like for
Well,
example,
Saving
I know
Private
that
Ryan, like, honest to God, like,
Well, I was just
to
gonna
be honest-
say with Saving
Yeah,
Private
okay, go ahead.
Ryan,
Yep,
yeah,
my bad.
continuing the thought. So like with Saving Private Ryan and stuff, for example, like when I started getting involved in history and stuff, I did like World War II airsoft and stuff.
Yeah.
And literally because of Saving Private Ryan, it jump started that whole thing because Tokyo Marui in the late '90s launched their airsoft Thompson, which became huge everywhere, and it literally was only because Tom Hanks went up Omaha Beach with the fucking M1A1 Thompson.
Yeah.
not a
You know,
Has it through the
so it's just interesting how it can you have those influences. But I didn't know that about Glory. So, but it makes sense. It's a good
Yeah.
war or it's a good
it's a great war. It's a hell of a war here.
Good
Yeah.
war.
There's a YouTube short.
Yeah, this is how I won the war. Great movie. This is how I won the war.
Hey, looking like that,
He knows. He knows.
Wear my
It's a
Hardy
great movie.
hat, got my heart attack. We're the Hardy Boys.
It went right through by the birds.
Oh God, bringing that back.
So,
Callback.
so that's the other thing in the movie too. Like, so you got to imagine a 500.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you, Les. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. That's the 69 caliber ball.
What do you got there?
This is a 58 caliber
58. Yep.
mini,
Ow.
550 grains, and it's
Yep.
going super subsonic. Like when it goes to the air, it sounds like a bee. Like zzz. And the only way I can explain it when it hits, it sounds like someone's taking a wooden bat and hitting a sandbag.
Oh,
Yeah. So that's where most of the casualties came from. Is not from really just, you don't have sheer blunt trauma like a 30-06, like that initial impact just stops the heart and you're done. It's just flesh, bone. It's just tearing it apart. And then the infection sets in, et cetera, et cetera. Because, we had great doctors back then. So, I mean,
Stop the
they-
cutting, please.
Yeah.
Stop the
Great,
cutting.
great butchers now.
yeah. So, I mean, that's basically all you really could do. I mean, when the bone is shattered in like 50 pieces in that little small area, it cannot grow back or it cannot heal. So you're like, well, let's break out the old hacksaw and go to town. Sew it up and give you some liquor and send you on your way, big boy. You'll get a pension for the rest of your life. It's all not gonna be much, but you know. But
And the liquor doesn't thin your blood enough to you bleeding out faster. Hey, but I mean, hey, we won't talk about that.
feels great though, man.
Feels great. Great time. I'm all right, but my leg's off. But hey, I don't even fucking feel it.
But
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman, man crushed. The dude's awesome. So is Denzel. I mean, great. But the only little gripes that I would say would probably be, I don't know how you would replace him because he's such a great actor and he's such a great role in this film. But Frederick Douglass's oldest son was actually the sergeant major of the 54th. That would have been
No
kind of
shit.
cool. That would have been kind of cool to hint on or put in. You know, that Frederick Douglass's son, oldest son, he had 2 sons in the 54th. The oldest one was the sergeant major. I don't know how you would have put that in, but that would have been a neat little homage to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have. One thing that I was just going through all the characters, the who played who in this movie. I saw, the Bob Gunton who's in this movie. He's the prison warden in Shawshank Redemption. He's in this movie. Yeah, I forgot the guy. He's like the guy who's the general who's in charge of the units who are like pillaging and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And
that was him. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was like the guy in charge of all that. And I looked up who he's supposed to be, and that guy was like in reality was like
29. He's like,
he was like I think he's 26 years old, and he was not like he didn't do shit like that.
No.
It's like, damn, they just fucking shit all over this guy's legacy.
I think it happened, but not to the degree like they were talking about, like, oh, he's raping and pillaging the whole South. Like, I think it was like, well, this is unaccounted for. I might as well take it back to my headquarters.
They made it seem like that was his sole purpose there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
making a business. But that's a repetitive thing throughout the whole movie. I don't remember how old not Zwick, but Broderick was, but he was only like 23 or something. Like the majority of the Civil War, all the men were roughly, I think, 24. Rarely do you see men above 40. Like Lee obviously was above. He was like 56, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But you rarely see anybody older. Like it's all like. Plus, you got to remember, like, this is he's age of consent. Like, I think the youngest soldier was a Union. I think he was a drummer boy, and he was like 7, and he got sergeant stripes because he held up like 4 Confederates, and they were like, "You're not going to take us prisoner." He was like, "Click, watch me," and they were like, "All right."
Give you one of the big red bitches.
So if you look,
he'll kill you just like anyone else.
Yep.
I can't remember his name, but yeah,
that's also a good point too, Les, is like the average age is 24. Like in combat arms, like that's still pretty true. It's like between, I guess, 18 and 28 would be the average age of combat arms guys like actually fighting. The average, like there's outliers, of course, but like people are like, oh, they're just kids. It's like, yeah, well, a 24-year-old's still a fucking kid. Like if you really look at it,
oh yeah,
when you're 24, you're still a kid. But in combat and like in a time of war, like that guy's got a commission. That guy's leading these guys, and it's there's not much of an age difference, and it's fun to like think about that. Like I don't know, it's just the boomerism shit like that I see on Facebook all the time is like, oh, they're just kids. It's like, yes, yeah, because you physically cannot fucking do this past the age of about 28. I'd say is unless you're like a fucking guru and like your genetics are perfect. Like it's rough on the body, especially in the American Civil War. Is like you've got fucking brogans, you don't have good gear. Let's just face it.
Yeah, so
you have shit gear and you're sleeping on the fucking ground.
Exactly. That's what I'm about to get to. These men, pardon the pun, back then they were hard. Like they were not like, I didn't get a Pop-Tart in my MRE. Like they're going days without food, and when they do, they get a hardtack, which is basically flour and water formed into a hard biscuit. Like you can't bite it; you have to literally
you
soak it in water.
You suck on that bitch. Yeah.
Take a rifle butt and break
hydrate.
it. Yeah. And they were sleeping out like till December. And that's a common misconception too. Like, oh, everybody had a tent or anything. No, these poor guys slept under a tree if they were lucky.
Yep, under the stars.
Rain, everything. Yeah.
Yep.
So talking about real people like Robert, Shaw and stuff like that. Are any of the black characters in this movie, like Denzel Washington's character and Morgan Freeman's character, are any of these guys real people? Were they all just fiction?
Yeah, from what I researched and looked into, no, none of them. Not even what is his name? The guy who played Andre Drower plays
His friend Thomas.
Yes, he's not real, and neither is Carrie Ewell's character. He's not real. He is based off of a Major Cabot Forbes. I'm sorry, Major Cabot Forbes was based off of Edward N. Holloway, who took over the 54th after Colonel Shaw died at Fort Wagner.
Fort Wagner. Yeah.
And
so there was a lot of little, inserting fiction into this.
Exactly. Like I said, going back, I think it was just a product of its era. We don't know how much information they had, but he wanted something to put out to the audience, and it was great. And I was going to save it for later, but there was the first African American who was awarded the Medal of Honor was from the 54th at Wagner.
Oh,
so
was it posthumous?
No, he got it, I think, 30 years later.
Course, yeah.
Wow.
Because it took, obviously, being a man of color, and also,
Yep.
God, what was his name? But he basically went into the fort. He was the one who grabbed the flag after, and he crawled on his hands and feet all the way back to the medical tent. And his famous words was, "I did my duty, boys. The flag never touched the ground." And he was shot, I think, upwards of 7 times, and he never
Jeez.
recovered.
Oh my God.
He never fully recovered from his wounds, but he did his duty.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
another thing. Like I said, they don't. You don't find men like that no more. It's I don't want to. No, this man saw a devotion to the flag in Colonel Shaw and his fellow men, and he crawled all hands and knees with the flag all the way back. And there's actually a photo of him, if I could find his name. Sergeant William H. Carney. He was the flag bearer. He was awarded the Medal of Honor. But there's a famous photo of him with the flag.
Yeah, I just found it.
It's the poor thing is just so tattered, but he made it.
Well, and he has to stand with a cane while he's holding it.
Like I said, he never recovered from his wounds. That's how bad he was shot up. But that was the other thing I wanted to touch on too. In training, I forgot about it. Flogging was outlawed. So
Right. So yeah, let's talk about that for a second.
flogging. If I could find the date.
I will just say I don't think they had BDSM whips there. So that was ridiculous. Yeah.
Was that like black leather? I couldn't.
Yeah, it looked like someone went to the fucking local porn shop and fucking said, "Okay, now don't."
It's a hot topic in the back room.
Yeah, August 5th, 1861, flogging in the U.S. Army was outlawed.
Yeah, because I mean that's. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, they probably didn't have this information, maybe because this was 80.
Sure.
This was 89.
Yeah,
They didn't have the internet. So does our
Yep.
local library have it? No. Okay, we'll assume.
Well, yeah, you will assume.
Yeah.
And also, it makes a point.
Yes.
And I get
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I get the
that's-
point
that's
you're trying to
what
make.
it
Especially when they
But it's
rip
like-
off the shirt and you see the
yeah.
previous scars. You're like,
Yep. Exactly.
I've got to do my duty, and I can't. I need to make an example of him, but then again, I can't not do my duty.
No, the scene is not what I'm making fun of. It's more the prop that is.
Yeah.
Right.
It just looks ridiculous, but yeah.
And I think that
Just
was
to
more
me,
of
it
a
just
Navy
looks
thing.
like
I think.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't-
Navy's had almost like 9 tails, like stuff.
The cut of 9 tails.
Yeah.
With the hooks.
Yeah, that's what the Navy had for sure.
Not good.
No. That definitely was fucking awful. I haven't found like an old Navy movie that has not represented that gruesomely. I'm sure there is one out there somewhere that's like, stop hitting me, stop. But we'll see.
We got Master and Commander.
I'm
Yes.
well,
There's gonna be so many people that are in the Navy or like Navy vets like listening to this, be like, "We're not all gay. Just shut up."
As Brian said, wrong. The paper says wrong.
Wrong. False.
Wrong.
Believe me, wrong. I know. Great guys. Wonderful guys, but they're gay.
I've known a lot of guys in the Navy. Great people. Great people. Let me tell you. Go on, Nate.
Sorry, that caught me off guard. How did going into the actual there's 2 battle scenes in this movie?
Well, technically, I think it's 3 because you have Antietam, which I think was filmed
Right. Yeah.
the 125th Gettysburg, and then you
Yeah,
got
I think
James
so, yeah.
Island. James Island is filmed at Lusty Battlefield, which was actually this previous weekend or this yesterday, or whatever. Which Lusty was actually after Wagner, which I'll hit on that later. And then you have Fort Wagner. Wagner, which there's misconception with the movie. They did not do a great. How do you say it? It says in the film Wagner was never taken, which is the lawyer word. Yes, it's true, but
Wrong.
it was taken. After being bombarded for 2 months, the Confederates were like, nah, deuces, we don't need this pile of sand no more. And the Yanks walked in, they were like, all right, it's ours now. So it wasn't like taken forcefully, but it wasn't, it was basically just handed over. They're like, yeah, we don't need this no more. You can have it. So there are...
But you can't put that in the ending credits because it's not as dramatic.
Well, I mean,
Well, you could.
yeah, I guess you could.
they could,
No,
but it wouldn't
yeah.
be as,
It's
they
like-
wanted...
It's also like Albert Blythe, died in 1947.
Right, they just didn't bother to
I think there should be like a little asterisk, like it did surrender, or it was left a month or 2 later. But
Did they
What
starve?
if that's
Did
how-
they starve him out, or was it like a siege type of withdrawal, or was it more of like they just wouldn't literally like you said deuces?
a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So in the film, in the film they're like, oh, there's 1,200 guys in there. Apparently, according to research I found, the Federals were like, there's only like 200 guys in there. We've been pounding this thing for like 48 hours or whatever it was. It was long. It was a long bombardment. But so you got to remember, Charleston is like this like the sea in your hand, and Fort Sumter's in the middle, and then Wagner is on your thumb. So they had basically surrounded all of Charleston, but from Charleston into Sumter, they were like resupplying this fort by rowboat at night. They knew nothing about it. So in the movie, it's like, oh, there's like 1,200 guys. But in reality, like there's only like 200 guys. They can't hold that fort for so long. There was 1,200 guys in that fort.
Jesus
And there was,
Christ.
IFMDB didn't show it, but there was like, I think it was like 32 pounders, 12 pounders. I mean, they're
The coastal.
Yes.
The big fuckers.
the ones
yeah.
you could throw a football down the barrels. It just bounces like they're massive. I think they fired like 5 miles out to sea or something. So they're big. But being made of sand too, shell hits it, thump, nothing. So it's basically the what's that? You know what I'm talking about? The constant crap. Basically sandbags, but they self heal. So when
Right.
something hits it, the sand fills it in, you're done. So you don't have to really worry about it. So it's not like a brick and mortar fort where like Sumter, where it just crumbles and down. Sand just kind of reheals itself. You just throw sand over top of it, you're done. So there's 1,200 guys defending that fort at that time.
What if that's how the text at the end said that instead? Like the fort was never taken, then like ellipses. Well, it sort of was later,
Exactly.
such
Yeah.
and such.
Because it kind of like, it's like a downer,
they-
like you were saying, like all for nothing. Like these I think 700 men charged the fort, and I think they took like half losses. nothing,
God damn.
and just for nothing. But then again,
Yep.
like you said, a little asterisk, like the fort was never taken by force, but the Confederates were forced to evacuate under heavy pressure from the Navy and from infantry on shore.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, it was only like a month later that I think it was like September 17th, I believe. Yeah, they were like, we can't sustain this pressure. We're going to pull out.
See, this shit's way more interesting to me when
Yeah,
I find out
exactly.
stuff like this.
Supplied by
Yeah.
rowboat just blows my mind, though. Like, that's
Wait, one more time?
Well, I mean, all you really got to do is bring in gunpowder, water, and food, and that's it. And then
Right. But like
Yeah.
but like if you think about it, it's like you would not think of that time the rowboat would be. You would think it'd almost be like beneath a military to try to do that.
Okay,
almost.
sailor, you only got to use sailboats for supply.
No. That's not what I mean.
Rows.
I think it's
What is this?
really,
the
really.
Peloponnese?
I think it's a really, really ingenious way of doing it. But like, if you think about just standard way
I mean,
of supplying,
that's all they had. That's all
Yeah.
they had. I mean, you're in a harbor, and the wind's blowing offshore inland, and you're trying to go to the shore.
Right.
The,
It's going to be the only
peninsula.
way you can do it unless you want to do it by land, and obviously
And you
they're cut
can't
off,
because
so,
the only place they had was it was either side, it was swampy, and I think you could only get one brigade or one division in or something like that at a time. And I think those poor guys, the Union, the 54th were up for like 58 hours or 48 hours prior because they were marching through the swamp and they were being ferried to the positions. So there's no rest.
Jesus Christ.
Like in the film, you see them like in camp singing and everything. That maybe 2 days prior, but no,
But
48.
not
Well, yeah, but when Shaw in the film was saying, he was telling the general, I don't know who it was, but he's like, you guys have been up for 48 hours straight, and he's like, yeah, we can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So how accurate was that, do you think?
That was fairly accurate. The only thing that was wrong was when Shaw asked the 54th who's going to carry the flag. It wasn't him who said it. It was actually that general who said, if this man should fall, who will take the flag? Colonel Shaw stepped forward and said, I will take it. But like I said, I don't know when that information came out. That might have been after the movie when people started researching.
Yeah, no, I'm not ragging on the movie. I'm
yeah.
just genuinely like, seeking information.
No,
about
as far as
this
I know,
particular-
that was correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty gnarly set. I wanted to ask one thing. When they first start coming over those knolls and stuff like that, they have like lines of diagonal stakes sticking out. Were those actually things that
Yes,
they did?
that is called chiffre. No, what is it called? It's a French word. It's anti-cavalry. They were used heavily.
Oh, okay, to stop horses.
Anytime,
Okay.
and actually infantry as well. They works great for linear combat. But oh god, I think it's called like chiffre. Oh crap.
Oh, I think I just found a photo of it. 1 second. Here, I'm going to share it in the SteamYard.
Yeah,
chat.
that was going to be one of my next questions. Was how did the fort and the dug-in positions look? I mean,
So the fort itself looked good. Cheval de Frise, that's what it's called. It's a French thing from like the Napoleonic War. So the fort itself was done well, I believe. And I don't know why they did this or how it got by, but Fort Wagner is on the northern tip of that island. In the film, they're attacking from the north. They couldn't do that. It's from the south. So I think in retrospect, if they would have went back and they were doing editing, if they would have just have mirrored the images, the flags, some of the guns would have been reversed. But if you cut it back, maybe like a second each, maybe it would have been all right, or zoom out off of the troops or something. But yeah, the attack came from the south. That's what basically happened. But in the film, it came from the north. The fort, I think the fort is like 100, 200 yards from the north of the tip of that island, so they couldn't have. But everything else looked great. Like even in the film, it shows why. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but most forts, they're not like a square. So they're like shaped. Why they're shaped like a star or a weird angle. When they aim that cannon down and fire at the adjacent wall, that's why that's for. You could protect your phalanx. You could protect your fellow wall, your vedettes. So when you see that the gun number 2 to your right is being pushed, you can take your cannon, aim it down, and fire a canister into all those troops that are advancing and protect your own. And that was a good thing that they showed in that film.
Yeah. Yep. It's when was Fort Wagner built?
That I don't remember.
Yeah.
It was fairly early on because they knew the significance of Sumter.
So, but it was built during the American Civil War.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Because it wasn't hard. It wasn't brick and mortar. It was mainly all sandbags, and possibly
Sandbag,
wood.
okay. Pretty hasty.
1862 it says here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. It's very, very recent.
Yep.
As far as this film is concerned, like
Yep.
within a year of, yeah. Interesting, because I've been to Fort. It's off Gulfport, Biloxi, Mississippi. It's on the island. I forgot the name of it.
So many I can't remember.
Yeah, it's an 1812 war kind of fort, and yeah, it's shaped the same way where it's. I think that was hexagonal or whatever, but like it had like the interlocking fields of fire where
Exactly.
you could do all that.
Fort
What?
McHenry is the same way, I believe.
I was gonna say McHenry, but I thought that was
Yeah, McHenry's out here in Baltimore, so yeah.
McHenry, and this is Fort. I don't know, it's something, but anyway,
McHenry's also an 1812 fort, obviously. So
yeah, and it's built pretty similarly from what
Yeah.
I know about McHenry. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like that makes sense that they would just take the technology and be like, okay, well, like Lester said, just interlocking fields of fire if it so comes to that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really cool.
And that's another thing too. I mean, if you've done German reenacting, most have hobnails, but on a beach like that, running through the sand, most shoes are slick on the bottom. Sometimes they have heel plates, sometimes they will have nails, but I mean, you're just fighting yourself running through the sand like that. It's
I don't care
horrible.
if you've got fucking Oakley fucking 8-inch tactical assault boots on. Okay?
Yeah.
Running through sand,
Yep.
you're fucked.
And then you get to the 8-foot water-filled moat after getting
Yeah.
through all the Chaville Tavri, and then you have the abattis in front of it. It's
what is that?
that's the spikes sticking out
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
at the bottom of it. That's anti-cavalry, anti-infantry, so you have to like get through those. It's basically you're just setting up a huge Tetris field in front of your, in front of your works.
Well, that's a really old technology because when we had I think we had, was it Sean on here or who was it? When we were talking about the Roman,
It would
when they
be,
set up
Sean.
Yeah.
Sean.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Trainer
he would say
Sean.
they did the same shit. That's a very old technology. It's like for defensive positions, and it's like the spike. I mean, you'd think, okay, spikes guys can just run through that. Okay, what you just said, you're physically fucking exhausted. You just had to get through about 10 fucking, natural barriers. Then you get up there, and these things are only about 2 feet apart.
Yeah, and this isn't
I don't
like
give a shit how skinny you. Sorry.
yeah, it's not like Navy SEALs where you're engaging singularly. You have to be in a formation. So the idea is to break up the formation, reassemble your formation, then fire. So the longer it takes for them to do that, and you can still on top of the
The
fort
longer they have to
pluck
shoot
them
down on
off.
you.
Exactly.
This photo that I pulled up that has an example of it, those stakes aren't even a foot apart.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
they're-
I mean, it's all SOP. Like when
How
it
much
was like,
wood you can get? Yeah.
Yep, and it's like, yeah, what do we have? Like, put them fucking 6 inches apart because that's even in modern days, it would still slow people down, and then just you take a shitload of casualties just trying to get through there.
Even with squad-based tactics, it still would slow you down.
Yeah. So if you go to a modern battlefield today, there's trees everywhere because it's had 150 years to grow. If you go to any, like, especially Petersburg, God forbid, Petersburg campaign is one of my favorites. It's one of my babies. It's like a barren wasteland for miles. I mean, it looks like
They
a
just cut
desert.
all down.
For firewood, for fortification, and anything else, it's been all cut. There's one book, I think it was Hardtack and Coffee, where they said they would travel 2 miles just to get firewood because they have taken the stumps and they've chipped them down with hatchets till there was nothing left. There's no more wood to get for firewood. Because
Jesus
wood back
Christ.
then was
That's
used
nuts.
for everything. Firewood all
Yeah.
year
One-
long.
Yep.
One thing I'll touch on here that I know. So a few years ago, I took a really awesome tour of the Battle of Gettysburg and stuff. A very good friend who knows a lot about it. And he told me something really neat. He was like, we know kind of what the battle looked like at the time because of all the photos that were taken. And, every year the Park Service tries to get a little bit closer to, what it looked like back then. And I know a few years ago, I might be wrong in the statement, but I know they like put the notch back into like where Devil's Den is, because there was a notch in that fixture, like, where the trees are and stuff. And that was really cool how, like, they literally are restoring the battlefield back to what it looked like at that time. And that's such a big thing. Because, anybody can look at, let's say the Somme. Oh, wow. It's a bunch of, like, farmland and trees. And, like, it looks nothing like what it did, 109 years ago. It's just you had to have been there. Nobody's going to bring 10,000, Krupp guns out and say, okay, see you 2:00 tomorrow. We'll get the Somme back for you.
Like I said, my buddy works for Sailor's Creek Battlefield, which is not too far from here. It's from here. It's from Petersburg to Appomattox. It's the one battle that won the most amount of Medal of Honors in U.S. history. I think it was like 25. So
Wow.
in the Civil War, to win a Medal of Honor, you don't have to do something extremely outrageous like kill 30 men and, kill a general. Back then, simply just grabbing a flag and bringing it back, an enemy flag, that's a Medal of Honor instantly. And it wasn't back then, I get a Medal of Honor. What they cared about was, shit, man, I get 30 days home. I don't care. I don't care about this medal. I get 30 days paid at home. So that's what they were like. Give me that flag. I will kill you for it. But at their park, it's a state park. They're trying to regrow the land the way it was, because since then it had been like a dairy farm or something. So they're trying to get it back to the way it was.
Yeah. Well, it's neat you could do that, But it's something you just don't think about. It's like, oh, that's right, time.
Yep.
It's like
that and what's used after the war.
Well, like all the Roman ruins that got destroyed to build houses in the medieval era and stuff. It's just like, well, people got to use stuff, and only because something happened there doesn't mean it's special, really. If it's not going to help you get by, who gives?
They
a
don't
shit?
give a fuck about that being part of history.
There's a great part of Patton where they go through the battles of Castrian Pass in Tunisia and everything, and it's like all the looters and stuff for the Arabs. It's like, fucking, I don't know this guy and I don't know that guy, but this watch works, like fucking, it's what works. So, but
that one real quick thing though, Les, and I was hoping you'd actually comment on it, is that we constantly talk about preserving history and stuff like that, and you had talked to me about that house that you had gotten to go save that graffiti. I was hoping you could talk about that, because I'd love for them to hear this.
That's very interesting. I am a board member on the Appomattox Petersburg Preservation Society. APPS is what we call it. We're on Facebook, all the social media outlets, and the previous president, I guess somehow got word that this abandoned house had Civil War writing inside. And he found out who the landowner was, contacted him if he could go inside and look. And it's right en route prior to Sailor's Creek. It's in Deatonville. And he went into the house, and sure enough, in the upstairs, it's an old house. You could definitely tell. But when he got upstairs, the stairs are like 2.5 feet wide. They're not wide at all. He gets upstairs, looks around, and vaguely sees like remnants of pencil drawings on the wall. And one is like a little cartoon face. One has a bunch of names and whatnot. And he got to doing research and found this man was one poor soul, man. He was shot, I think, in the kneecap and fell down. And when he regained consciousness and got up, the poor bastard got hit by a messenger horse. And that hurt him. That hurt him worse, and he never recovered from that versus the bullet. But he made it back. He made it back to that house, and I think they found the journal or something online of the surgeon. I think he was like from New York. He was a surgeon. He talked about that house, who owned it. The man called it Bachelor's Rest, because that was like his house in the countryside. He lived like in Newport News or Norfolk or something, I believe. But he lived there as like a getaway home. It was a little small house on the side of the country. And I believe we estimated that house to be built in like 1750. And we went up and we cut the walls out because the house was falling down, and we got permission to raise money to purchase the walls. and they're in the process of being maintained and stored until we can find a more permanent place to present them. More than likely at Sailors Creek Battlefield State Park. But yeah, that was one of the high points. Like we got to go around in this house. The doctor talks about, I amputated a Confederate lieutenant. I think it was either leg or knee. I mean, just being able to see this written down and then being able to actually touch it, like you're there. This man 160 years ago wrote his name on this wall as he thought, hey, I might die. I'm going to put my name here. And you're there touching it. Like
History you can touch.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
It's like his way of leaving his mark on history, and he was able to because of what you've done.
Yep.
Until I took the ankle grinder too now.
That's kind of what we had to resort to. We had to cut it out of the wall. But yeah, it's horsehair drywall. So when you cut it, you see you see the horse. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Super not healthy, but respirators and
Did
stuff.
did you cut a wall out of a colonial house? Do you also have mesothelioma? Guess what? You're entitled for historical compensation.
Before they knew about asbestos, God, why didn't they just use asbestos?
Yeah. The tactics actually in the battle scenes, that was my next subject that I wanted to ask you. Did you see anything that stood out that was kind of like modern day terms or calling out or anything stupid like that might?
So little reenactor pet peeves. Like I said, you got to remember 1989. Most manuals refer everything in singular, so there's no fixed bayonets or stuff like that. You don't reload. It's load, ready, aim, fire, load. There's no reload. There's no fixed bayonets. It's fixed bayonet, charge, bayonet, because you're speaking to the individual soldier. But that's like I said, it is a very minute detail, which I can overlook completely.
That's not a minute detail. It's a big one.
But as far as formations, no. I mean, they all looked amazing. Because I think I was talking to Nate about this earlier. Take Gettysburg, for example. You're using volunteers who are almost subject matter experts in this field. And what better way to use that? Like you don't want just some guy off the street, like, here's a blue uniform. And they bring their own equipment too. So it's the best of both worlds. Most of the time, like Gettysburg, you don't even have to pay these guys. As long as you prove to them that you're doing it with the best of intentions and you're doing it honestly and historically correct, you're golden. They'll treat you like a king. But if you're going to do some sappy ass love story that's, hey, I want to talk about, this, that, and the other.
Lincoln was a vampire slayer.
He was. And I dread the day when that becomes reality, when kids come home from middle school and they're like, oh, there's vampires in Lincoln.
Just look at the flowers. Just look at the flowers.
Yeah, look at the pretty flowers.
I got 12 years invested. I can try again.
But I can't remember. It was Gallagher, the author. He said it.
Oh, I thought you meant the comedian.
No. He said it best, I believe.
When he was at Coldwater, he was talking about.
But he said it best, man. Like anybody that tries to play Lincoln after Daniel Day-Lewis, they're a fool. Yeah. That guy hit it nail on the head.
That's what I've heard.
Last night I was like, I was like, okay, cool. Let me do some prep for this. I'll watch tomorrow, but let me watch something. So I'm like, let me watch Lincoln. I haven't seen it. It'd be cool. I've heard a lot of good things about it. Whatever. So I started it and I fell asleep. And we're still in the 1865 period. So I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know if he dies or whatever. But really good movie. Very long. Very boring.
I'll spoil it for you. He dies.
No, what? I just remember a lot of things from the set, like how he was method acting the whole time and stuff. But no, it was funny. That's a very long movie. But I totally agree with you. You can't beat that. Yeah, just the same thing with Downfall.
Yeah,
same thing.
Yeah,
I mean, he's just
best Hitler.
The best you can get as far
not
as
a good thing to say about people.
Yeah,
you're the best Hitler.
It's something, man.
The grass is always green. You gotta look at the light side.
Les, if somebody told you that you pull off a great Goebbels, like I could see you.
No, he
you
doesn't.
know, no, he doesn't.
he
but thank God
doesn't.
he doesn't. But like, imagine if that was your shtick. Like, hey,
Oh.
that's the Goebbels guy.
This
Like,
guy,
fucking-
this guy's Ernst Krum. That's who he is.
Hey, I heard you on the radio the other week.
Yeah.
Fucking yeah.
Pepping up the troops.
Ernst Krum. Yep.
The Russians never make it past the Oder. No, they never will. But yeah, it's a very interesting movie, though. I think it's definitely one of the better Civil War films for sure.
Yes.
So
Like I said, I didn't want to pick Gettysburg just because it's low hanging fruit, and two, it's based off of books, not the actual. It's not historically inaccurate, but it's not like a documentary.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
stuff.
Yes.
There's stuff that they left out. Like I wanted to hit on this too. It follows the books, so like Culp's Hill, that's completely left out of the whole book. Culp's Hill was where one of my ancestors passed away at. That's on the other side of the battle of Pickett's Charge. It happened at the same time. It went on for like 2 days. And that's a misconception about the Civil War too, is it's all these linear tactics, lining up shoulder to shoulder and just fighting each other. That's where like most of the big battles were like, oh shit, we just got caught off guard and they're on our tail. We need to fight back. That's when that engagement happens. Petersburg, Vicksburg, almost all of these big battles, they're entrenched. Culp's Hill at Gettysburg was one big entrenchment. And I don't mean like we're just going to like dig a foxhole and fire back. No, they're like fortifications chest deep with a headlog above you. So all you can see is like chin to eye level, and you're firing a musket under that. And that's all they have to fire back at you. Like you said, the single shot. And you can only get 3 shots off a minute if you're good.
I'm just going to jump in really quick and just say this because I've been wanting to say it the whole time. This, like what you just said, fucking, it'll draw a parallel to a lot of people that are listening. Is the similarities, like the more I learn about the American Civil War, and because I like World War One, I'm fairly into that. The similarities in the fucking tactics themselves, not the
Perfect.
technology.
Perfect. Yes, I know where you're going.
Yep, and the old school of warfare, which involved trenches, a little bit of line warfare, but only in the really big engagements, the charging, bayonets, cavalry to an extent. World War One kind of outdated by the machine gun, but like there's so many similarities that whenever I learn more about the American Civil War, I'm like, this shit from the 1860s to the 1910s, that's the mentality that everybody fucking had.
So the joke.
And it took. I'm sorry.
The joke is, do you know how to tell between a Civil War battlefield and a World War One battlefield?
No.
The barbed wire.
Right.
That's it. Like
Yeah, right.
there. I mean, if you go to Petersburg and see those trenches, like in pictures, they're identical almost.
Identical. And they had periscopes in the Civil War.
Yeah.
And it's like they made them out of mirrors and shit like that. But like they had periscopes. They had fucking communication trenches. It's like, it's the same. Because all you do is you go to the First World War, and at the beginning in like August of 1914, it's like, okay, it's new. It's this whole thing. And then you go, oh, well, we can just kill each other at longer ranges.
Yeah.
Let's just dig in.
Yep. Exactly.
And it's like, same fucking thing.
You could say the same thing with the Franco-Prussian War in comparison to that.
Well, no,
as
that's what I'm
we
saying is
just
it did not change from basically
But
the Napoleonic Wars until the First World War.
Yeah, no,
in my
exactly.
opinion.
I'm just comparing to our last conversation where where we had talked about the Franco-Prussian War and similarities to World War One as well. It's like you can even tailor it to this conversation as well of those comparisons. And
Any
stuff
conflict between basically the Napoleonic Wars to because World War One was like, okay, now we've got new technology that we're trying to fight and get around these old tactics that we've been using for fucking ever. And it's like, okay, we got airplanes, you got tanks, you got mortar, or well, no, they had mortars then. We've got accurate, whatever, fire. Okay, that's fine. It's still the same exact fucking bloody concept. I'm not saying bloody as in like fucking, like British people say. I'm saying bloody concept. Like, how can we inflict the most fucking damage on our enemy? And yeah, in the American Civil War, same fucking shit. Same shit. You just can't shoot somebody from fucking 1,000 yards away as accurately.
Exactly.
Actually,
Yeah.
to tie into that, actually, Les, you've done a lot of, because you own a bunch of either original or replica, mainly Civil War firearms. What's the max range you can get out on those things effectively? I guess I've always been curious about that.
So the American firearm, like kind of today, is an American firearm. It's a combat weapon. It's not a. It's for combat ranges. You're not going to be out there. Not every rifle is going to be a marksman rifle. So the max elevation on the American rifles was 500 yards, which they're not even really taught. I mean, you'd be lucky to get any kind of firearms training. Basically, you're just taught load 9 times. If you can do that, you're a good enough soldier. You don't have to hit crap. Just shoot in that direction. Hopefully something hit, The British method, though, the British Enfield, that sight I think goes out to 900 yards, and I think their yearly qualification. Brett Gibbons is probably going to kick my ass if I fuck this up, but I think he runs the paper cartridges forum and not the forum, but the web page and business. He's wrote several books and I've read most of them, but their yearly for qualification I think is up to 700 yards.
Damn.
Yeah.
1858?
1855, I think, is when it was. But they had a
Damn.
completely different cartridge. This is what they used. It is a paper patched bullet that the bullet faces towards the powder. So you tear off the top, pour the powder, insert the bullet face up, and then you rip this paper away. So you have a paper patched bullet that cleans itself.
Yeah.
They took 10 years to produce or to perfect that cartridge. And when the Americans got that rifle, some of the ammunition came with it, and the Confederates was like, this is a pretty good idea. Let's replicate this. The Northern was like, we're good with our Burton bullet, the mini ball, that's what they called it, which was not.
So really quick, now that we're on this topic, I was going to ask you this earlier, and now I just reminded me of it. So in the film, they get issued Enfield rifles.
Correct.
Probably the 1858 by that point, right?
1853 Enfield, the 3-band.
What am I thinking of 1858? What am I?
18. I think they had like a carbine 1858 or a 2-band.
Okay,
rifle.
so the 1853.
I
my
think
bad.
I'm having the same.
There might
Because
be.
I
a
thought there was
58.
something that Enfield made in 58 that was like a standardized.
It might have been it might be the 2-band, but I don't think many of those made it over to the infantry troops.
Sure, but we'll go with the 1853, and that was a rifled musket.
Pretty That's the one that goes out to about. I think the sight goes out to 900 yards.
Yeah, and so for 1853, that's a pretty amazing technology because they were still using smoothbore 69 caliber muskets.
Some units, especially the I think it's the 69th New York, they preferred the smoothbore because they could use buck and ball.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's what made the Bloody Lane, quote unquote, so bloody at Antietam. Once you get into that formation, in the trench, you just level the muskets in either direction. That 333 caliber ball and the 69 caliber ball just maximum amount of damage.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But over 200 yards, you're pissing in the wind. You're pissing in the wind.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So yeah, in this film, they're issued crates of brand new crates of Enfields.
Yes.
Would that be accurate? And how did they get them?
Correct. So if I remember correctly, the U.S. tried to procure rifles from England, and England was like, cha-ching, yeah, you can have as many as you want. We'll produce as many as you need as well. The Confederacy, on the other hand, definitely, I know Isaac Campbell, a bunch of those got produced and brought into the CS, but a lot were also confiscated by the Union blockade runners.
That's what I was gonna.
So they were like, well, spoils of war, we're going to issue them out. In the film, the only problem I have with it is period muskets did not have serial numbers on them.
That's okay.
So,
thank you for addressing that.
So when he's wheeling up, like when he says, the finest rifle in the world, he's right about that because the Enfield rifle with this Pritchard ammo is the best ammo in the world. At the School of Hythe in England, they loaded and fired a rifle once a day for a year, and it never malfunctioned. For a black powder rifle, that is amazing.
So they just did it once a day for an entire year and no fouling, no.
Because the bottom of this cartridge right here has wax on it, so the wax will break down. It seals it, and it also breaks down the previous powder, so it quote unquote cleans it.
That self-cleaning thing he said earlier.
So it's the paper.
No, I know that, but like this is actually a step above that. But like, because they did it with the Martini Henry, the 577 450 later on, but like, damn, yeah. So they fired it once a day for an entire year, and it worked every single time.
Yep.
Oof.
That just goes to show, with the right rifle and the right ammunition, you have the perfect combination of a perfect weapon for combat. And the Confederacy realized this and tried to replicate it, and they did.
Yes.
Not through the exact perfect conditions, but they did replicate it.
And so one of the reasons that I've heard as a rumor, but it makes sense logistically, that I just want to run by you and ask you is, Union troops that were issued the 1853 Enfield liked it because they could procure ammunition from dead Confederate soldiers and not have to cast their own mini balls or worry about supply lines. They could just procure ammunition off of the.
Well, you could use the ammunition vice versa from both sides, as long as it's both.
Well, yeah, it's 58 caliber.
57 or 58, either one, you can still use it.
Yep.
Okay. But the Pritchard ammo would just run better because it can, like I said, when you fire it, it's cleaning your weapon basically.
So is that what they were probably talking about? Is like when we got their cartridges themselves, it was better because
maybe. I've never heard.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard of the Union using Pritchard ammo. I know the one place where this made news was at Shiloh, and I think I can't remember if it was Grant or if it was Sheridan, but they walked the field. Mine does not have it, but the British ones had a green piece of tape around it with the manufacturer, made in London. And they walked the field, and the paper is intact, like the paper tube, not this part. But they picked it up, and they read it, and they were like, sons of bitches, the British are helping the Confederacy.
Right.
So that was like written proof. Like, it wasn't like, hey, I heard these guys over here getting help. They picked it up. They're like, they're
it's
getting
war profiteering.
they're getting ammunition.
Tales old as time.
Yeah,
yep.
Exactly.
And so they've really put a piece of tape on every fucking cartridge.
Well, it was a way to hold it together.
Yeah, but like they also stamped like London on that. Jesus.
Yep. It's a different time, man. It's a different time.
But
you got to remember, they were being made by women and kids too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, they did the same thing with the Martini Henry cartridges.
Yeah,
like
that's right.
The soft brass.
Yep.
They were made by war orphans.
Yep.
A lot of times, and it's kind of ironic if you think about it. War orphans making cartridges to be used around the world for various things. But like, yeah, no, that's fucking cool. That's every time we have a guest on that knows a shitload of stuff, like very nuanced stuff. My mind gets to a point where I'm like, shit, I got to do more research, but no, I can't go down that fucking rabbit hole. Nope.
Like I said, Brett Gibbons has 2 or 3 good books, Paper Cartridges, The Killer Angel, which the Killer Angel was a quote about the rifle, the new modified.
Right.
The 1853 Enfield was basically designed after the 1851 French Manet rifle, which is 69 caliber. Yeah. And I could go on about that later on. But that was a nasty rifle too.
So, do you know anything about the 54th? Actually, what they actually were issued and what they used?
Yeah, to my knowledge, I think they were totally 1853 Enfields.
Okay.
I mean, there might have got 1 or 2 that got mixed in, but from my understanding, it was all 1853 Enfields.
Interesting. So they got that part right.
Yeah. Yep.
Very, very cool.
Which shouldn't have been hard because they were cheap. Enfields, for whatever reason, are cheaper.
Doesn't make any sense, but yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking, I just, it's just incredible, thinking about getting shot with that stuff. We'll talk about, how crazy, like, modern gunshot wounds are and stuff, and how most infantrymen have to take, like, classes on how to stop gunshot wounds and stuff today and shit. But it's just, insane to think about that. And on top of that, like the blockades and everything that they used to send the firearms through and everything, like, it's interesting.
Les has some really cool videos that he does where he's shooting them, and I'm always blown away.
Like a
Blown.
silenced MP40.
Yeah, that's got over 1 million views. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
That blew up overnight.
yeah.
Dude, yeah, Les, when you showed me that Minet ball, I had the same mold. I think you have the Lee mold, right?
Yeah.
And so what we did is we actually experimented with those, and we put a 45 caliber ball in the cavity of the Minet ball and shot out of a fucking 12 gauge.
Yeah.
And my God, did that work great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, devastating. And so it's like, then we just shot it normal to like kind of see, but like that fucking thing hitting you is a lot different than a high velocity,
Exactly.
like a 5.56 or
Yeah.
a 7.6239 or a 5.45. It's like wherever you get hit on that, the entire part of your body is completely fucked.
It's such an anomaly because a friend of mine was doing research for his county and he was writing a book, and one of his poor bastards was shot in the face and returned to duty. He was shot below. He was shot
Shoot
below
me
the.
again.
He was shot below the eye.
What did you get hit with?
From my understanding, it was a 58 mini ball. So it wasn't in the T.
Yeah, I know.
So he was
Eyes and nose. Yeah.
So he was shot below the cheekbone and returned to duty, like several months later.
How in the fuck?
I'm like, dude, that is a sign from God to go home and live a very long and uneventful life.
Yes.
Not
How the fuck do you get?
the cause needs me. Like, no, I don't think they need you.
No, you go home and you have a good life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus, man, that's
But
fucking
you
nuts.
hear that, like all these generals, like I think one of the generals in the movie, he was shot prior, and he's like, 6 months. All right, I'm back, boys. I'm doing much better now. Like, damn, man, like you were actually shot. You can go home. Like like they don't really
Yeah.
need you. There's other up and coming officers and generals. They don't really need you. But it happens all the time. Like General Jackson, like his arm was buried with
Yeah.
posthumous honors.
Yeah. It's insane. Like these guys just, well,
Yeah.
I'm good, but yeah, I guess, like you said, a lot harder. But like, I mean, you could say that, but I mean, still getting shot with a 5.56 probably isn't going to be fun.
Oh no. It just burns.
It went right through, but it burns. Yeah. Anyway, all right. So Nate pulled up IMFDB. So we do this, as you know, in episodes. So the 851 Navy. Yeah, you're gonna have to walk us through this, Les. Yeah, there you go.
So
Speaking of,
this revolver is pretty interesting as far as Colt. So this one you have a wedge. If you look just in front of the cylinder, you can pull that wedge out like this. You take the whole barrel off, and that's how you switch out the cylinder. Unlike the Remington, where the Remington comes out like in the Clint Eastwood film, I can't remember which one it was, but you can switch out the cylinders.
Oh, that's the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes. So you can switch out that cylinder while the frame is still together. This one, it just came out earlier. It's 36 caliber. The more modern ones are 44, which is inaccurate because they did not make this model in 44. They made the new Army, which the biggest difference really is the barrel, instead of being octagon on the outside, is smooth. It's round. And interesting, that guy that he's intimidating, he became a school teacher in I think North Carolina after being an actor, and then I think 2001 he returned to being an actor. Oh, and go back up a little bit. So that whole scene right there, when he's when the cavalry come in, that would not really have happened if they had bayonets on like that. Because guard against cavalry, you put the butt of the rifle on your hip, and then just extend your left arm, so the bayonets are like glistening towards the sky. And I don't care how great of a horseman you are, your horse is not going to go anywhere near that. It's just like a fence. Like they're like, no, I see sharp, flashy, pointy things. I'm not going near that.
Which is, I guess, the opposite of what forms square, which is like.
Basically, that's what it is. Form square, or
Yeah.
you can just guard against cavalry, and they don't want to come anywhere near that.
Yeah, I made a video on that. I was like, yeah, originally bayonets were used for single shot muskets and rifles to protect against cavalry charges, and ever since World War I, we don't need that.
And fun fact
anymore.
Fun fact: the 1853 Enfield with the bayonet is exactly 6 feet. So that's your social distancing stick.
Shit, so it's actually with the bayonet it's shorter than me. Fuck.
I remember that during the toilet paper wars. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I was there.
Yeah.
Look
You
at
were
Thomas
there.
in that.
I was
Look
there.
at Thomas in that image right there on the
So,
left.
like I said, my buddy has a YouTube channel. He paper cartridges. He does a whole video on this. There's also the gentleman in Canada, British muzzleloaders. He does a very good.
Oh, yeah.
He's great too. And you can. It's kind of funny. Like if you do this, like any of us do in reenacting, you can spot who the extras are because their uniform is so bland. Like they don't have the cartridge box on. Because you're like, either it's going to be a squib load or they're going to fall. Like artillery's going to hit them and they're going to fly back because they don't want to land on anything. So you can most of the time see who the extra is going to be.
Those are probably all rubber props that they're holding
Those,
up
I don't know.
No,
In Wagner,
those are real.
Wagner, you can see quite a few because when they're running, they're really wobbly. But I mean, there's not really any way you can get away from that.
there. Is it? You said in the Wagner scene, you can really see
When
props.
you're running up, you can
prop
see
rifles.
the bayonets and or the rifles like wobbling. But I mean, there's not really.
I love
Yeah,
seeing
you
that.
can't really get away with that because I mean, you've got several hundred guys on a beach at nighttime, and you're running with.
Yeah.
It's hard to get away from that. The only thing I could see maybe is getting a real rifle, holding on with both hands, and putting a rubber bayonet on it. But But yeah, the uniforms. That was the other thing I wanted to get to. Carry that fucking 70s. Like I got my button-on jacket. That pissed me off because it's so
Button-on
wrong.
jacket.
Yes.
You talking
So
about this guy.
yes.
Where Carrie was good with his collar
yeah,
open.
like every scene except when he's like in formation or something, or not in formation because he's doing it here. But yeah, like in Victorian era, it was unkempt to keep your first top button unbuttoned. It was acceptable in camp to have every other button except your top button buttoned. And he's doing quite the opposite in this film. I think it was movie.
That image right there, that'd be a great like poster if this was a comedy. Like just look at Thomas on the left there.
Yeah, like 1941 or Top Secret. Yeah.
Right, yeah. It just looks comical to me. And it's the last image.
It.
That's it.
That's it.
That's
yeah.
it.
They don't talk
That's all
about.
she wrote.
Yeah, they don't talk about
No! Go back down, Nate. Go back down.
They don't talk about the dog
The
rims.
caption. Hold on for a second. Go all the way down, Nate. In the middle,
Jamie.
both Rollins and Sharts carry the rifle.
I like
Who the
sharks.
fuck is Sharts?
Oh, you don't want to meet him. He meets
Oh,
you.
so that was the other thing. Like I said, I really wish they would have changed a little bit because the original story, Colonel Shaw got to the top of the redoubt. He was shot one time through the heart, and he fell into the fortification. And his men, the 54th, ran in to get him or to follow him. But the movie where they're all like running down through down the corridors, that didn't happen. Because the fort's not big at all. Like it's probably the size of maybe a football field and a half. I don't know how many whales that is or how many. I don't know what Nate would compare it to. Anyway,
Whales.
Like, that's about
land yachts.
2.5 Titanics long.
How many crabs fit in a football field? Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, are we talking width or length? There's a difference.
Yeah.
You know.
but like I said, he fell in. They went after him, and then that's when they pulled back because they were taking too many heavy casualties.
That would be about 4.5, maybe 5 crab boats long. So yeah.
I want to know how many whale sharks.
Got it.
Not whales. We gotta specify breeds.
How many whales is that?
It always comes back to this shit.
We talking about North Atlantic or South Atlantic?
Both.
Sperm whales, both.
But that was the other thing I wanted to hit on
I
too.
just
is-
need one sperm whale.
Oh, you.
I'm your huckleberry, motherfucker.
Yeah.
we were playing for blood. But the only there's a few of them, but bayonets in this film might have been overhyped. Maybe not saying that if push comes to shove, I wouldn't have used my bayonet, but for a buddy of mine sent me some information. So the Army of the Potomac surgeon McParland had, for whatever reason, he wrote this crap down. Thank God for us. But the Battle of the Wilderness was pretty bad, pretty bloody. He had wrote down shells, shot, bullet, bayonet, and sword wounds. Shell was 231. Shot was 6. Bullets 7,046. Bayonets 4. Sword 2. The Battle of the Mule Shoe. Shell 712. Shot 37. Bullets 8,218. Bayonet 14. And one sword.
Is that wounded or is that everybody?
What he treated. So
that's just casualties.
Would that kind of be like though the problem they had during the war, where they're like the planes that got shot in these areas got back, but
survivor bias? No.
Well, no, as the idea of this
no,
those guys are dead. If you get stabbed by a bayonet, you're dead. So that the guys that get treated by for bayonet injuries are just so low.
So there's this misconception of the socket triangular bayonet making that wound you can't heal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's not what it is. It's there's multiple reports of people saying, if I fire my musket, there's going to be a cloud. There's no guilt. I don't know if I killed anybody or not. But if I run up to a man and shove that foot-long steel cold hard bayonet to somebody's chest, I can see their face. I know what I've done.
You hear him screaming.
Exactly. And they're looking at you because you're the man who just stabbed them. They're like,
you're using your social distance stick and you've impaled him on your social distance.
You weren't wearing a mask.
Well, you guys, I think I said this to you and Brian and Nate. I don't know if you've seen this, Les and Mike, but that it's a World War I German veteran talking about his experience with the bayonets.
Yep.
And he just
he
talks about it.
I'll have to look that up.
Oh yeah, I can send it to you. Post this.
Please
but
do.
It's really fucked up just the way he describes it. And he just says it how it was, and then he goes, "Okay, any more questions?" You could tell it still really fucks with him because he actually stabbed a French soldier with a bayonet, and he describes that. And it's like, it's very fucking personal at that point.
Because there's
it's not just the heat of the moment, combat, whatever. You hit somebody with your butt stock, bam, you hit him in the face.
You don't know if he's dead or not.
Yeah. He sees this guy every night.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what some of these dyers have said. When you stab that guy, that face, that pain face is burned into your face. You see it every night. Like I said, you're firing in a line of 1,000 men at another line. You don't know what you've hit. You don't even know if your bullet dropped 15 feet in front of the guy because you might have swallowed half the powder when you bit the bullet.
It's like a pilot's war, compared to a ground war. It's like dropping a bomb is a lot easier than slugging in the mud. So.
Oh, but the this would have been cool to add into the film. Like I said, I know the movie was already long enough, but at the Battle of Olustee, the 7th New Hampshire, 7th Connecticut, 47th, 48th, 150th New York, and 8th United States Colored Troops were in battle at Olustee. The 54th, after marching 110 miles in 100 within 108 hours, then fighting 3 hours at Olustee, and then they had to retreat back to Jacksonville after they saved all of those units. They were being cut off at a swamp. All of those got out of there, and the 54th held the line as they did a delay action. As they were retreating, they found the casualty train, the medical train had broke down, and they were like, "All right, take off your backpack, boys. Grab the rope. We're gonna haul this son of a bitch back." So with the help of the men and the mules, they pulled the damn train 10 miles back to Jacksonville.
Motherfucker.
Like that right there on top of Sergeant Kearney being in that movie would have been like over the top. Like it's almost like a Marvel movie. Like
it's like you can't really wrap your head around.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so insane.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
It's there in black and white. It's there. It's documented. Like these men. Now, I don't know if like the officer was like, "All right, sorry, y'all got to buck up and help," or if it was, "Hey, it's a shit sandwich. You got to bite it. Let's find some rope and pull this bad boy to safety.
God damn.
Yeah, but 10 miles pulling a locomotive, like that's
No fucking
hardcore.
way.
That's hardcore.
Yeah, with all that weight on it.
Yeah, all the
Not
wounded.
just the weight of the locomotive, but you've got all these casualties.
Yep.
People weigh a lot.
Yep.
People are very heavy.
Yep.
Ugh. Damn,
Yeah,
man.
you don't think they do until you pick up your first reenactor on a stretcher, and then it's like the heaviest motherfucking thing you've ever done.
And then you got to remember, these cats were not slave hands. These were all freed men who were like barbers, doctors, lawyers.
Yeah.
They had done previous to Wagner, they had done physical labor, but that was
Yeah.
only like a month maybe.
Yes, these guys are middle class dudes
Yep, 100%.
that are just fucking in the absolute suck now.
Oh yeah, welcome to the army. Yeah,
Yeah. Welcome to the army.
But-
Quit your fucking bitching.
one of the reasons I love this movie, or I think this movie should get around more. There was 179,000 USCTs in service, and then there was 19,000 sailors that were black in service. But you never really ever see. I mean, you see him in Lincoln for like a little bit, and then you see him like escorting the Confederate dignitaries. But that's about it. I mean, you don't really see anything else about it.
Did those guys serve the 19,000? Did they serve in the on the Mississippi as well?
All over, yeah.
Yeah,
They
so
were
they're
all
just
over.
All over, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, and the 54th were not. They weren't informed of their pay reduction until they got to James Island. So it wasn't like, hey, you guys can leave now, or you can continue not getting paid. They basically got suckered. They were down there and like, hey, y'all aren't getting paid.
That
You're already down here.
that was interesting because they talked about that in Lincoln. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Crossover and stuff. So
Yep.
any other things you want to touch on, dude?
No, I think that's it. I don't want to waste too much of y'all's time. We've been there about 2 hours now.
2 hours on the
But
dot.
still,
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's all good though, man. It's
Yeah.
been fucking great info.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
Yeah, so we'll jump into the final thoughts now, guys. And again, before we begin, thank you so much for joining us, dude.
Yeah,
You know,
man. This has been great.
Yeah, I heard through the grapevine, that you watch some of the podcasts and stuff, and it's just really cool to have a viewer on, and we really hope that you'll join us again in the future and
That'd be
talk
great.
about some of those other Civil War films, or maybe even not Civil War films if you're interested.
Tropic
too,
Thunder.
'cause,
No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Yeah, I told Mike. I told Nate. I was like, hey man, kind of left me out on We Were Soldiers.
Oh, that's right. Well, you kind of got away, and oh my God, that's a comically huge.
That's a
fertilizer.
wow! I just
That's
noticed
a-
how big that was. Hold that up.
Is that a duff?
Hold that up.
That's
How big is that? That's like.
that's local.
It's like a duff.
That's local brew.
Oh my god.
I
All
expect
right.
you to be drinking that out of your F-150 cup holder. Like, hey, we're going down to the
I
Wawa.
thought this is America.
Show Mike how big his beer. Look at that. That's just a big ass
It's a
beer.
64-ounce can. Who gives a fuck?
That's
He's from Wisconsin. Remember, that's what they do.
It's
Yeah.
it's a birthday present. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean that's just like it's like
To yourself,
nothing.
like,
No, so I got to shout out to my buddies Zach and Josh, who are in board members with me at Apps. So they were like, "Hey man, we need you to come." The wall that I was talking about earlier,
Yeah.
the graffiti. They're like, "Hey man, we got to come. We got to move this thing. We got to get it into your house or whatnot for storage for a little bit." And I was like, "All right, I was like, I thought it was next door where they used to live." And he was like, "No man, well we got it over at Sailor's Creek." And I was like, "All right, well I'll take off a day and I'll come over and help y'all." So if you don't know, the Hillsman House was a house built in the 1750s as well, which was also a hospital, but it's being preserved on state property land. And there's still bloodstains on the floor. You can go in there and see them. They've got them preserved with glass over them. It's scary as shit. One of them, like the blood dripped off a boot on both sides. You can still see it, like where the boot was at.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's yeah. Anyway, so they're like, "Yeah, come on out." So I get there. These assholes are like got like a full spread, man. They've got like crawdads, shrimp gumbo, clams on the fire. I'm like, "You dickheads!" They're like, "Happy birthday!" I was like, "I appreciate it." So they gave me like this and a bunch of other stuff. But
nice.
Great dudes, man. Love them to death.
That's
They're like
awesome.
brothers. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this it's local brew, man. Local brew.
Looks
the
like
size of like a
normal-sized
Burger
king.
King large.
You just went
It's
for a
not.
sip, and I'm just like, that's fucking bigger than your head.
You look like a little kid drinking from a soda can. You know.
Yeah.
like-
Yeah.
None of you fuckers are from Wisconsin. Like that's just like a child size.
Gotta get it down to Wawa.
Like yeah, it's fucking insane. But
It's my big gulp.
yeah,
Seeing as we won the war, a Northerner will comment first on this one now. But it's a very good movie. You know, I've seen it in the past a few times. I'm not the biggest Civil War guy, and also the whole Matthew Broderick casting kind of did throw me off. You know, even just being passively watching it.
Go Gadget.
But that really shouldn't detract from the film because it's a really good Civil War film. It's definitely one of the better ones out there. You know, and I'm gonna give this film an 8.5. It's very good. You know, I like it, and I really don't know a lot besides Blue and Gray, and you know if they should be in the South fighting, and they didn't fight in Connecticut, where I'm from. So, but
You'd be
like you know,
surprised.
yeah, it's a good film for an idiot like me. So
You know, there was like a rebellion in New York, right? Or no, I think it was Connecticut.
there, I'm not sure about, but there was the riots for the.
It was in New Hampshire. It's one of the states.
Irish,
It's one of the
so-
states up there. They sent like guerrillas, and they were like trying to burn this town down.
In the Span Am War, there was a big revolt from Connecticut troops because they joined up and they're like, we're gonna go kick the shit out of the Spanish Empire, and they sent them to Florida, and they're like, no, and they walked home. It was like the biggest mass the biggest mass mutiny of like troops ever, and they
Right.
let them. They were like,
Right.
you can't kill a whole
We're
state
going home.
militia. You literally, you know,
We're not going to be doing this.
yeah.
We're going to march home.
Believe me, trust
and
me.
it's going to be the biggest, the greatest march you've ever seen.
I'm going home.
Yes,
Believe me,
right.
trust me. It's a great trip. It's a wonderful trip. It's going all the way
Haven
north.
is a wonderful city.
A
It's
little
beautiful.
hot, a little
Beautiful.
hot on the way up at some parts, a little bit wet, but it was a great trip. It was a great march.
Anyway, so yeah, I'll give this an 8.5. And yeah, that being said, I'm very interested to know what you think, Mr. Mike A.
Oh, me?
No, the
I'll
other
wait
Mike
for
A.
the wave. The
Les-
other
Les
wave.
The only
just
person
shot-
not
Les-
laughing.
Les almost shot beer out of his nose. That's what I was more laughing at than anything.
Well, I'd be careful because it'd be like 3 gallons of beer.
it's
so.
not. It's a fucking normal sized can. You being all frenetic about
For
it.
you, maybe.
He's just really small.
Yeah. It's a 12-ounce
fucking
can. He's
squirrel.
just a fucking midget. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when you go to Taco Bell. It went right through, but it burns.
Oh,
Damn,
God
dude.
damn. Brian's
like
just
getting
getting
multiple
fucking
meetings out of
razzed
it.
tonight, and it's like
This is going to become a
you didn't-
meme.
you
Oh, my
didn't
God.
deserve it.
I've literally been on the computer all day on a day off. So like this is gonna end.
I'm
going
double
to sleep.
barreling him right now. So just trying
Both
to,
fucking barrels.
So-
Okay, go ahead. Yep.
I'll get him
So
back.
my thoughts on this. Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't love it, and because it's funny. It's a movie that my whole life everyone is, for me anyway, has always said like this is like such a good movie. It's one of the classics, and I've never been able to fully connect with it. But it's never boring. I'll say that I'm not bored while watching it. It's has a lot of things that are really well done. It has a lot of very good performances. It's just again like I think the lead of the movie is so from my point of view is so weak that it kind of drags it down a little bit. And I think I'm gonna give it a 6.5 out of 10. It's I'm glad I've seen it, and I've seen it many times now because I've tried to really understand it. But just me personally, I don't fucking love it. But anyway, ye old Bueller is just doesn't do it for me.
Yep.
So Mike B.
All right. Yeah. It's again. I'm not a Civil War aficionado by any means. Like I know, probably just above a basic bitch level, just a little bit above, not much more. So I didn't really get all the technical shit, whatever. That's why I was asking a lot of questions. But as far as like the actual film itself, I think like we were talking about, it tried to just convey a message of something that fucking happened that wasn't well known, especially at that time. And they worked with what they had. And I know, it's like, after the fact, you can go, oh, I should have researched that. I should have put that in there, blah, blah, blah. But like 89, again, you go into public libraries, and if it's not there, bam, that was a good point. And anyway, the performances were very good. I did like the banter, the infighting within the black troops. I love that when they're in their tents and they're infighting about stupid shit.
Oh, I love the
I mean,
president.
really dumb shit.
I love the president
What?
joke. I love the president joke. He's like,
What was the joke?
He's like, what have you been doing? He's
I
like,
ran
since
for
you've been,
president.
yeah. He's like, since you've been gone, you've ran away. He's like, what'd you do? Well, I ran for president.
Yep.
I didn't win
yep.
though.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good because it's like, what the fuck did you do? You tried to run away. Okay, that's your life accomplishment, but these guys don't give a shit about that. You know, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter at this point because you're all in the same fucking suck right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I did love that. That was an aspect that, like, because, I mean, it happens with everybody, but particularly with these guys in that situation and whatever. It was fun. And again, good actors, very good actors. And so that, and then the just the appearance of them, like when they're in formation, when they're fighting and shit. It's just, again, it shows people that might not have otherwise looked at the American Civil War. It shows them, yeah, it was fucking nasty.
Yeah.
Like nasty is a very, very soft word to use for that, but it was fucking horrific, and you get a taste of that in this. Yeah, I'm not attached to the film. I didn't like it sucked in. I'm like, oh god, it's great, but like it also wasn't terrible. So, long story short, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I was just gonna say Nathaniel, but you would get all butt hurt. But I'm gonna say Nathaniel.
He gives the finger when he does that. When you do that. Yep.
That hurt my feelings. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I like this film a lot. Even going through all the stuff that we did with Les and getting more of the historical, context to the period that I had no idea and all that kind of stuff went with it. There we go. I still enjoyed the movie, and I still think I'm going to, still recommend it for people to get, again, I think, to get their toes wet on an era that is a good interpretation of that in film, considering that I think, although I know I've never seen it, but I know Gettysburg, like you said, Les, is low-hanging fruit. So
You've never seen Gettysburg?
No. I've seen bits and pieces.
I haven't
again.
either.
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces, but I've never seen the whole thing. I have a ton of friends who were on it. So
Mark it down, Brian. Mark it down. We got to do it.
But yeah, no, I mean, like it does a really good job. I think of having this conversation that we just had to get to know more of the period and what actually really happened in historical context. And that's the whole point of this podcast, is to dive into a subject that either one of us or two of us or none of us know, and having someone who can guide us through that, aka Les. So it's been great to dive into that. So, I mean, I think hearing everything he said and hearing everything we've talked about, I think I'm going to side with, the average theme here. I think I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 Screaming Mel Gibsons. It's decent. It's decent. There's nothing that pulls it down too bad. And so, I think I'll side with an 8 out of 10.
And then leave it with the man himself.
So, like I said, I've been saying repeatedly over and over again, you have to remember going into this, it is a product of its era, 1989. So, ironically, going on YouTube and looking up other videos of this, like Civil War Journal did one, but when they recorded it on TV, so it has like the original commercials. Like IBM and stuff. You're like
1992
awesome.
Dodge Caravan.
Yeah, it's like half this crap isn't even, or like half these businesses aren't even around anymore. So you got to remember, no internet.
Brings me back, man.
You've got to rely on like phone calls, snail mail, and local libraries to do your research. Or go be lucky and go to the reenactment. Like the 15 guys out of the 50,000 reenactors are here this weekend. And I can talk to them about it. Maybe they've done research. That
and hopefully done it right.
Maybe they've
true.
done
That's so fucking accurate. I'm sorry, dude. That's just so
exactly.
fucking accurate.
We've all been there. I think we've all. Yeah.
yeah.
So that, and I think more importantly, I hope through this podcast I've done them justice. I hope I'm not coming on here like I'm a Southern boy and I'm trying to, I want to shed light on this.
You don't sound like a Southern boy at all,
Yeah.
so don't worry about that. Nobody's gonna
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah,
catch that.
Nate.
No, he's from New York City,
Nate.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
Bronx.
You hide it
going
perfectly.
going into this and thinking, hey, I need to shed light on this. It's something that's not really shown, especially in today's society. I feel like it should be, like I said, I was telling you earlier, it should be known. Like these men sacrificed everything above God and else in their lives for what they believed in. Also, I'd rather see a film have a lot of small details wrong than one, like several big details. I could kind of overlook what was it, 2 or 3 seconds of Fort Wagner from the north. It would have been a lot better to see from the south.
And the plural commands and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
That I can overlook that because that happens all the time.
But like it's the small thing. That's what I'm trying to
yeah,
say.
that is the product of reenactorism, I guess you could say it. Like, it's been happening for decades, and they're like, we'll just keep doing it the way we, no one's like, all right, I'm going to be the change. I'm going to do it. So I think in today's era, I think probably Nate and probably Brian can agree. I think today's era, I think reenactors and hobbyists are putting their foot down and trying to make that change. I mean, there's so many groups online that are saying, hey, we're going to change these things. But as far as the film itself goes, I'd probably say 8.5. Just because of little small details leading up to it that are wrong. But I'm not saying this is the best Civil War film ever, but I think it's one of the most influential because it tackles a subject. Being a Southern guy, I love Gods and Generals just because, Jackson, Lee, and Fredericksburg being close and everything. The Civil War, like, I don't care. There's only so many Civil War films I don't like, and it's one of those, like, there's no gray area. It's like you either did a good Civil War film, in my opinion, or it's complete and utter garbage. But Gods and Generals, I think, was a good one. Like, I know somebody's like, it's Confederate propaganda. Like, it's based off books. Were the books Confederate propaganda? Maybe. I don't know. I guess we could just screw the 20th Maine, whatever. But
Well, how many monuments do you have in your backyard, Les?
let's see, 1, 2, 3.
Well, you live in a battlefield.
Oh yeah, let's change the rules.
Those are coming down soon.
Let's
Don't you
change the
worry.
rules.
I got.
Yeah, if
I
I
got.
have anything to say about it, those are coming down very soon.
AOC is getting in the killdozer right now.
Bang the bayonet. But
She's on her way right now.
But like I said, it tackles the quote unquote problem head on. It doesn't dance around it. Like, somebody did make a good point, like as far as Gods and Generals, where Jackson's talking to his cook, who is a non-free black man. He's enslaved. Hey, do you mind getting up at? What is he gonna say? Nah, I like getting up at like 6 o'clock. I ain't getting up at 4. Like, come on.
Yep.
They're not tiptoeing.
you know how I feel about Wednesday.
Like, they're not tiptoeing around it. Like, in this movie, it's head on, blunt, and force. Like the opening scene, like the director shows that lieutenant's head exploding.
I forgot about that.
He wanted to show this isn't a light film. This film is going to be rough. So, but tighten your seatbelt. This is what it's going to be like, and I enjoy that. I'm not a necrophiliac, but I like.
You were
So I
saying,
know what you
yeah,
mean.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm all about that CBT.
Yeah, like I want be like, hey, this isn't PBS. Like, shit's going to get real.
yeah.
Ken Burns is not in the building.
Yeah. The old lady, like, just back and forth rocking, talking. Yeah. I don't know what. Yeah. Ugh. But yeah, it was like I said, 8.5 because there's little minute things that I found wrong, but only because I wouldn't say I'm a subject expert, but I've been in this hobby for, like I said, Jesus Christ, 10 years or 20 years now. Yeah, so 20 years of picking up and seeing things.
Probably a little bit of a wise woman once told me that when you don't think you're an expert on something and you've been doing it as long as you have and you've been doing it and you constantly seek to do the right thing and learn everything, you should probably consider yourself an expert.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So, like I said, for what like I said, the product of its era. It's a great film. And if you get a chance, Lionheart Films they copied the 60 minutes of the making of. Man, that is awesome. Being a 90s baby or early 90s, like seeing the extras hop on the bus with boombox on their shoulders, tube socks, booty short, basketball shorts. I'm like, in the flip up clip on sunglasses. I'm like,
Oh,
bro,
my
that's
God,
me, man. I love that. That is like, it's like a flashback from the past, man. Like,
Yeah.
that is awesome.
Bring me back to a functioning economy. Yeah.
Too soon.
kind,
Too soon.
kind of.
But yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's got to be within, in my opinion, the top 3 Civil War films.
Oh, that's a high rating. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you said
putting
8.5?
score,
8.5. Yep.
Okay.
putting the scores into the computer that will tell us if the South will in fact rise again. The answer is no. We get a total score of 7.9, which is
Pretty
good.
high.
Yeah, pretty good. Definitely check it out. It's a very good film, and it tells a very story, very good story, a very unique American story. Unfortunately,
Well, and really quick, I just want to say one thing about Les's kind of like closing comments is we go through this same conversation a lot with films that we actually do know like the subject matter pretty well. It's if it's shot well and they get most of the big details and like kind of the overall thing right, we appreciate that because it gets people interested in it and it can be that catalyst of like somebody, oh well shit, that's interesting to me. And you can overlook all the small shit that they fucked up.
Exactly.
And so that's so you're not like out of bounds at all. Like that's very fucking standard, and that's a very great way to put it for a review on an actual like film like this.
Well, like
where
y'all said
you
in
do
the
know the
past.
subject matter, but it's hard to do, but like it's hard to be objective, but that's exactly where.
Well, like y'all said in the past, no Hollywood film is ever going to get it 100% correct, but you can damn get close. And this is about as close as you can get besides maybe Gettysburg, but this touches on a different subject. And like I said, it's one of those films, like I said in the beginning, where it touches on everything except that shitty love story that thank God they left out.
Yes. Yep.
But before we jump off, Nate, I don't think you touched on it. What was your opinion on the cinematography?
Oh, good point.
Because
Yeah,
it is kind of dated, 1989.
I mean, it's dated in 1980s kind of cinematography. I mean,
Yeah.
nothing was like, oh my god, this is amazing. But it wasn't like Hyena Road levels of college film put it in the into a fucking gas container and just
GoPro on a stick.
Yeah, because like the whole opening shot in like Hyena Road is a GoPro on a fucking Hummer and it goes up the road. It's just like, oh my god, why, what's going on here? But no, like nothing like kind of really stood out. The editing felt like of the time, late 1980s, early 90s. But nothing. I'm trying to think.
Oh, that was another thing too.
I think
this film
there's
had
some
like
yeah,
a
go ahead.
little bit of CGI. That was the ships. Which
Yeah.
There's obviously no floating ironclads alive or floating. So
yeah, like that.
all of them. That's
obviously
in my opinion,
CGI.
the only CGI in this film. Like I'm not perfect.
I'd have to go through Wagner scenes again, but off the top of my head, I don't see.
I think
don't
all of
remember anything
Wagner
that
was
really kind of went crazy.
Yeah, I think all of Wagner was original or real, except like I said, the ironclads offshore.
Right. Yeah. There were some interesting. If I remember correctly, I think there were some cool shots with like all the smoke and the light coming through the smoke and at night and trying to kind of make that.
Before you look again, check out that video. I'll see if I can send it to y'all. But I think that talks about it because they talk about, that's another thing too, is this was the first film that hired like a majority of African American stunt doubles.
Yeah.
They talk about that in that 60 Minutes thing. The guy's like, he's really proud of it. He's like, I had to hire extra guys because I did not have enough guys on payroll to do this. So he's like, this is a huge win for us. He's like, we're getting our foot in the door.
One thing that you and I had talked about, and then we'll end, is that you had said something about seeing that one white extra in the back of the ranks. Did we talk about that?
Oh yes. So I was asking a bunch of friends. I was like, I was trying to prepare for this, so I didn't go in blind and like, I don't know what I'm talking about. And a friend of mine from Stanton, Joe, was like, or Joshua, he was like, hey, so in the ranks prior to going, and I didn't know about this either. Prior to going to Wagner, there's a white guy. I never noticed it, but he's like 3 or 4 ranks deep. It's a white guy in the ranks. He said that a lot of abolitionists would sign up in the black ranks as spite, and they have a white guy in the ranks. And I was like, that is super detailed, super awesome. Yeah. But they apparently white abolitionists from the North would sign up in black regiments just for spite. But if you look, you only catch him for like maybe half a second or maybe a second. Like the camera's panning, and you see him like 3 or 4 ranks back. He's not an officer because he doesn't have rank on the kepi or anything. He's like a regular private.
Wow.
Little small,
It's those-
the small details.
It's the stupid shit that makes the world go round. That's the stuff that I love.
Like Nathan.
You know.
What?
Yeah. Exactly,
Oh, hey,
yeah.
I didn't see you there, buddy.
Hey man, I didn't see either.
Hey, man, remember when I called you stupid? I didn't mean that,
Dude,
man. I didn't.
remember when I called your mother cantankerous
Oh,
whore? I'm sorry, I didn't mean that.
So, before Trey leaves, or before Les leaves, there's one story that I have to tell that Nate's requested, and then we can let him
My
go.
favorite. It's my favorite.
So-
Oh my god.
I've known Les for a while, a few years. And a few years ago, so I've been involved with museums for a very long time, moving tanks all around the country and doing crazy shit with armor.
Thank you for your
And
service.
Les was in, you're welcome. Les was in the Virginia National Guard, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
And he has some experience
Natty
with,
girl.
Yep.
I'm a natty.
He has some experience with vehicles and everything, and just an all-around background. And I knew him from reenacting his stuff. And well, there happened to be a period where we were moving the Jacques Littlefield collection across the country from Washington State, or sorry, not Washington State. He lived near San Francisco, so he was up near there in Northern California, all the way over to Stowe, Massachusetts. The Collins Foundation, they built a whole facility for this museum for all this armor. So Trey happened to, or Les happened to be between jobs, and I happened to be going up to Massachusetts. So I invited him to come up for this trip, so that he can have some fun moving around tanks. So I knew he was qualified to do that because we had to do some things. So Trey comes up, and or Les comes up, and we do a bunch of stuff, move tanks around and everything. And the first funny thing that happens is his lovely Virginian accent. He goes into the middle of Massachusetts.
I don't know what you're talking
about. Where it's very easy to understand fucking people, all the time, because it's like you walk onto the set of The Departed, And so very quickly, he was known as the Southern Trooper. But anyway, along our travels up there and everything, we broke 3 skyjacks or whatever it was in 2 days, pushing around tanks. Who would have guessed that you can't use a sky crane to push a Churchill, or a Comet, Like if
they would've had it, they would've used it.
vehicle. Well, you tell me,
Oh God.
if you put a Comet in neutral, and you try to push it around a concrete floor, that's the same as picking up a pallet with a pallet jack, Where's the exact same, Anyway, by the way, those
got
marks are still in
tracks.
the armor from where we were pushing against it. I was up there not too long ago.
You're welcome for my cervix.
So you're welcome. But anyway, along our travels with this craziness, we ended up at a bar, but not only any bar. It was a half Chinese restaurant / bar.
Which is an amazing idea, by the way. Like just
Well, you really think about it.
Hell yeah.
I'll take a order of wonton soup and a fucking red and white,
do you want to get
you know,
fucked up or you
like
want
it-
food? Yes.
or both. Yes, that's the answer. Yes.
Duh.
But do you want to tell the rest of the story from your viewpoint? So we walk into our Chinese bar.
Yeah, so the furthest north I had been prior probably would have been Connecticut when I bought my Jeep years prior. But anyway, I go up with him like the night before. He's like, hey, come on up the night before. And I'm like, it's like an 8-hour drive. He's like, okay. I was like, oh, let me start fucking packing now and drive up. Shit. So I get up there and I get to his house. He's like, all right, I'll drive the rest of the way. So I sleep, was it 2 hours from your house? Anyway.
Yeah, just about 2.5.
So we do the whole week. And like every night for the whole week, we would go by this Chinese joint / bar. And the first night there, the guy's contact name for the museum was Dick. He was like this old school Yankee from, like,
Dick Moran.
Yeah.
Yep, great guy.
"Oh, well, the fuck you doing? Just great guy, for a Yankee. But we show up and we're following him because he's showing us this joint. I've never, obviously never been here before in my life. And I mean, the door hasn't even swung fully open, and he's like looking at the waitress. "Hey, give me a fucking beer." I was like, "Oh shit." And he's like, "You fucking move, give me a fucking beer over here." And I was like, "Oh shit." So I sat down next to Brian like a fucking kid that's been scalded. And just how it's going the whole time. Like, "Hey, what the fuck you doing here, you motherfucking mook, you fucking mooch." And I'm like,
across the bar, there's a group of fucking contractors, and they're like, "Hey, Dick, you back at the bar?
Yeah.
You fuckers."
Yeah. So I'm like huddled up to Brian, and I was like, "Hey, man, is everything okay?" And Brian's like, "Yeah, what do you mean?" I was like, "I don't think you've probably noticed, but there's a lot of cussing and accusing and hostility going around." He's like, "No, it's fucking fine." And I'm like, "Brian, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm the only fucking redneck in this bar." Obviously. Like, I don't know if my voice gave it away or not, but he's like, "No, man, you're fine. And I'm like, "Brian, I know this story, dude. I'm a cop. The fucking police show up for a fucking call that's anonymous, or some asshole in the corner's got a knife out holding it at somebody's throat. And the two fucking Boston cops open the door and they do a quick scan. They're like, 'Hey, fucking redneck, come in.' That's it. I'm fucking going to jail for being redneck in the North, and that's a misdemeanor on Friday night. But, I mean, what can I do?" And he's like, "No, you're fine. So the rest of the week, everything went on with a hitch, thank God. And then I got my ass back down below the Mason-Dixon line where I'm safe. And I haven't been back since.
That's a New England fucking horror story.
Yeah.
You got to come up to
Well, no, I went to Ohio a few years ago for my first time. You shut your whore mouth. So I went up.
Why would you admit something like that on a public fucking podcast?
Well, it was Conneaut.
You voluntarily went up to Ohio?
Yeah, it was Conneaut.
Or got Chernobyl, or after it got Chernobyl.
Well, it was Conneaut.
It's Conneaut.
No. Before all this shit happened recently, you're voluntarily saying that you went to Ohio.
Yeah, for Conneaut.
It's like you could
Even worse.
It's
you
the
could
D-Day
piss in the
Ohio.
yeah you could piss in the
I know what the fuck it is.
but you could piss in Pennsylvania though. That's how close it is. But anyway, I went up there and they were like, I came to a stoplight and I saw a Jeep CJ7 go down the street and had a Confederate flag and I was like, "Oh, thank God,
I'm home."
I'm safe.
Oh, thank God.
I'm royalty up here." But I'll do this one last story before we shut it down. So this is the I don't even know if Brian knows about this story. Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
Do I know about it?
Yeah, so it was April 1st. I was at my house working. I was a deputy. And my partner calls me. He's like, "Hey, this meth head's at his grandma's house. We're going to go pick her up. We got like 16 warrants for this dickhead." And I was like, "All right, let's go." I'm at my house, which is on the other side of the county. So I was like, "All right, let me put my shit down. I'm going to head your way." So I got in the car, started heading up the road. I was going down the road. And this car in front of me, I wasn't really paying attention. I was looking at my MDT and, talking to him on the radio. This car in front of me pulls around the car in front of it on a double-sided line. And I'm like, "Bro, I'm in a marked Ford Explorer. Like, lights, sheriff, everything. Like, come on, man. Like, a brush guard that could kill a goddamn rhino." And I'm like, "Bro, come on, man." So I pull him over. And my mindset is not on this guy. Like, I know that's a horrible thing to say as a modern police officer, but it was not on this guy. He's old. He's got his Oriental wife with him. I'm not focused on these two. Like, what is
Oriental wife with them?
like what is the worst they're going to do is I'm going to report you. No, so I was like, I'm writing you, passing on double-sided line, getting the ticket, and my dispatch, after I give him the ticket and everything, I go. He pulls out in front of me, and I get in behind him again. And my dispatcher, he calls me on the phone. He's like, "Do you know who that was?" And I looked at the ticket again, and I was like,
Oh,
"It doesn't look familiar to me." I mean, it does, but I'm not. It's not clicking. It's not ringing any bells. In hindsight, I'm a fucking idiot. But my dispatcher's like, Joseph Galloway, Joe Galloway. We were soldiers once and young, and I was like,
He was like, "That's the Oriental wife right there." Shit.
Oh, it all makes sense now.
Yeah. He brought her back from X-ray.
I fucked up, didn't I? He's like, yeah, you better get that ticket back. And I was like, so I followed this poor guy for 15 miles. And I was like, please, for the love of God, run out of gas. Go get something to eat. Have a flat tire. Something. Nope. By the time I'm getting ready to go down the road that I have to go to, the main road to go get this meth head, I'm like, oh, shit. Whoop. Flip on the lights, siren and shit. You know, so he pulls right on over again. And like I said, in hindsight, I'm a fucking idiot because it was Joseph Galloway. I've got the ticket right here. Joseph Galloway. His fucking license plate was 7 THCAV. Like I said, my mind wasn't on that. I was like, I'm going to go get this meth head. He's a dickhead. Fuck this guy. He's been screwing over people. You know, bad people, not good people, bad people. Anyway, so I pull him over and I like rush up to the car. And he's like, is everything all right? I was like, sir, do you still have that ticket? And his wife hands it to him. And I look at it and I ball it up in front of him. I was like, sir, you ain't got to worry about this. You've paid for this time and time again. Like, don't worry about this. I said, you've done this country enough service. You know, I'll get rid of this. And he appreciated me and everything. He's like, do you have a business card? And I said, I sure do. Gave it to him, and he appreciated it and went on about his business. Lo and behold, though, he said he was coming home from a film called Shock and Awe, where supposedly Tommy Lee Jones was playing him in the movie, but I never heard any more about it. I looked it up.
Huh, I've never seen it.
Yeah, I looked it up. They started doing something with it, but I don't.
Sometimes they just die in the vine. It's very strange.
Yeah, I don't know, which sucks because I really would like to have seen that. One, it's Tommy Lee Jones, and two, it's Joe Galloway. It was about the Iraq War because apparently he was a war correspondent up into the Iraq War. Never knew that. But anyway, about a week later, I have a package on my desk at the sheriff's office, and it's got in the packaging, "We were soldiers once and young," and it's signed to me. You know, thanks. I'll actually read it right now. It's very, very cool. Him sending it because he didn't tell me I'm sending it to him or sending it to you. It was kind of like I saw it on Facebook because he posted it on Facebook to Deputy L.H. Smith and his dispatcher with the thanks for your service to your country and for your kindness on a country road. 4/1/2017, Joe Galloway. 4/2/2017. And then like a week later, after I guess he posted it online, his friend John Stryker Meyer sent me his book, Across the Fence, and he sent me a letter and everything. You know, best wishes with you and your future endeavors in life. Respectfully, John Stryker Meyer. So that was like the highlight of my career as an officer.
Damn,
Yeah.
dude.
pretty fucking badass.
Like I said, and a lot of people
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, whatever, man," because it was April 1st, and I was like, "No, it fucking it happened, man." Like I've got the tickets, I've got the
It's like your visor falls down your car. It's all these other authors like Stephen Ambrose, Cruiser. Right? Like, I'll get them one. They'll come to the county eventually.
Yes!
you know?
Don't come around this heart shape.
You son
But
of a
no,
bitch, yeah.
like I said, I was like, no, I've got a picture of the CAD call. I was like, and then I've got the book, and I was like, cha-ching, money, baby, got it. But like I said, just super respectful, nice guy. different generation, man. Wasn't disrespectful at all. Wasn't like, what are you pulling me over for, man? Like, you just pulled me. He's like, is everything okay?
You pig.
Is everything okay? Yeah, what? Your fucking mother's a mook. But now he's like, just, is everything okay? Did I do something wrong again? Dude, I felt so horrible. But I was like, no, sir. Like, I need to see your ticket.
You did something wrong. You lost the Vietnam War. No.
Oh, there it is.
But I was like,
It wasn't for your photos.
You brought home the
know.
L. Yeah.
yeah. I was like, no, man. I was like,
Oh wow.
I was like, you've done more than enough to pay for this ticket. Don't worry about that.
Well, so who paid for the ticket?
I never turned it in, so it's not registered.
Oh,
That was a bunch
you
of.
should
I
have
paid for it.
$1.34. Yeah.
But the moral of the story is the meth head got arrested. So
Oh, good.
good. Fucker.
Justice
back,
was served.
Yeah.
Bring it back now, y'all. And that completes the Virginia countryside story.
Joe Galloway didn't get a ticket, and the meth head got caught.
don't be a piece of shit.
Hey,
Instead of the Oxbow incident, it's the Charlottesville highway incident. So
hey, Les. To quote someone from the early days.
You can't be a bitch your whole life.
No. JJ's cool, but that bald guy's a real asshole.
Oh God. Yeah, as we're standing in the urinal next to each other, I'm like, hey, JJ's cool, but that bald guy, he's an asshole.
He's right next to you.
Thanks, Riley.
thanks, Riley.
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew the close up was going to make it.
This is the same guy we convinced that he was flying an airplane. While
Dude, he tried to get out.
He tried to get out. So
We're
to
in a
convince
Tahoe
him,
going down
to convince-
460.
To convince him that to not keep pulling the fucking door handle and
So,
unlocking the door was that we were flying in an
Hindsight,
airplane.
this was like he had turned 21 like a week or two prior.
Oh, Jesus.
So we were at a
Christ.
World War II event, and we went out to eat together. And we were like, dude, you've never drank before for your 21st? He's like, no, not really. He's like, all right, we'll get the Three Wise Men. That
Oh,
shit.
no.
Yeah.
No. Not good.
Mm-hmm.
Bro.
Not fucking good.
Oh, it was good for us.
Yeah, for us.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we Monday morning quarterback, we should have done a lot better. He should not have been in the car door. Oh, yeah, like, the guy, like, locked the door because he was, like, trying to get out. He's like, I'm going airborne jump. And I'm like, no.
No.
Yeah, that was bad juju, man. Bad juju.
Jesus Christ.
And then we
He
get
found
back.
he found that potato masher and, like, beat it on somebody's chest and broke it.
Me.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
He beat the shit out of me with the
probably
German
deserved
potato
it.
masher and broke
Well,
it on
you
my
deserved
chest.
it.
Because I didn't want him to walk into a car, so I grabbed him. He's like, "Get your fucking hands off!" He's
Oh.
like doing this.
What was that dude's name? He's like,
Hey, how about really quick? We just wrap the podcast up
Yeah.
because Brian's
still
looking
recording.
pissy and
I'm gonna
Mike's
jump
like,
off in like half a second. Yeah, I've been on
All right.
line all day. Anyway,
Wrap it
dude,
up.
thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, man.
It's been
Appreciate
awesome. And we'll be back on for Gettysburg soon.
And when you guys don't hear the end of the story, blame Brian. Don't blame us. So,
yeah.
Anyway, cool. We'll catch you guys next week. So.
Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a rating. Otherwise, Mel Gibson won't stop screaming. If you like this content, make sure to check out our Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram pages. If you want to directly support our work, make sure to check out our Patreon. All these links are in the description below. Until the next time, Scuttlebutt out.
Normally that distance, that's a good enough. Because if you, depending on the mic, if you lean too close, sometimes you can overblow it, and you'll
Oh, you don't like the
No, that messes up your gain. Yeah,
I kind of like. Talk
I
a
don't
little
like that.
slower.
That's like
there,
ASMR, dude. That's like ASMR level.
You liked it in Red Dead, though.
I do like that Red Dead.
I'd fuck
Keeps-
you fuck me? So I'd fuck me.
I'm
fucking
all
hard.
for it. Trey has creative freedom. However, whatever octave he wants to use at whatever point. So, speak to me, Daddy.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Did you
Sing to me,
did you
Daddy.
listen to the Thin Red Line one yet, Les?
That's the only one haven't gotten to that one. I
Okay.
just finished
It's a long.
the
one.
also.
There's an inner monologue, and it's like a Southern guy, and he goes, and like we kept putting our bass up to him, going, why are we here? Is this real life?
Is this
Yeah,
real?
like, yeah.
What are we doing?
He's George W.
Am I alive?
George W.
George did.
My grandfather once ripped off the wings of a butterfly.
And it's strategery.
Snakes.
And
What if
it's-
snakes had legs?
What the fuck?
Yeah,
Off on that tangent.
fucking excellent.
No,
So-
the one I watched today was the Herd Locker.
Oh,
The podcast itself was great, but yeah, the movie, I agree.
Yeah.
The movie's fucking terrible. It's fucking. It's atrocious.
remember, or was it Blue Phase of the UD school? They teach you how to use a sniper rifle, good to go.
Yeah.
God.
God.
So I'm all set when you guys are.
All right.
I'm ready when you're off.
Yep. I'm good.
Cool.
Yeah.
We had.
Nate's still. Hold on. Nate's
No,
still
go,
shoveling
go.
because I know where this is gonna go, Brian. I know where this is gonna go.
Yeah, you interrupting me?
He's gonna be like with all the cocks in my mouth.
He
Yeah.
fucks it up regardless, so it's fine.
Well,
He's got a good 12 fucking
The brown Brillo pad on his face. Just
Yeah.
food redispensary.
Yeah. The fucking yeah.
Yeah, Trey's not gonna help in this regard.
yeah.
So good.
Ugh.
It's like a chest napkin. You just roll it up. Just seconds.
Hold on.
Saving that fucking cottage cheese for later, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Good stuff. Go ahead. Fuck it.
Yep.
Yeah, just go.